past all of them as well. What a move from the 48. Oh, look at this, and onto the straight they come.
Brilliant move there from number 40 to make it through that left-hander, sliding up the inside, going up now over Hawthorne Hill, down Pilgrim's Drop, and it's brilliant stuff here at Brands Hatch.
Need expert support for your sim racing setup? SimRig Support has you covered. With over 2,000 hours of experience, our team excels in diagnosing and resolving issues swiftly. Submit a ticket for remote help, send us your hardware with a prepaid label, or book an on-site visit. We handle all major brands from wheel to PC problems. Trust SimRig Support to keep you racing.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the British Formula 4 Esports Championship as we get ready to go racing here. We've done our racing north of the border in Knockhill. It is now time to return to England for the British F4 Esports Championship and of course the UK Formula 4 1600s. It is to the Derbyshire-Leicestershire border, of course this side and the Leicestershire side of it, that being Donington Park, one of Britain's best racetracks. It was drama-filled last year, it'll be drama-filled this year. Cam, we're excited for it, we love it, it's so much fun, great track to go racing at.
Absolutely, it's an amazing one and I can't wait to see how the racing is going to go. It's so fast, it's so flowing, but then of course you have the couple of hairpins to finish the lap as well, so some good overtaking opportunities, and in general the racing around here is really good in both the categories we're going to see today.
Most importantly as well, this is the penultimate round of the championship, the penultimate evening of racing here in the UK Formula 4s and of course in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. We'll follow up after the Formula 4s this evening. Let's remind you as to how things work this evening. We'll start with the Formula 4s, of course. Here they're about to head into qualifying. Then we've got the first of two 15-minute races, from the second of which is a reverse grid based on the results of race one, giving it a bit of a spinny wheel after that. Once that's all wrapped up, we'll be moving straight on to the British Formula 4 Esports Championship and to the great title fight that we've got going on that. But let's remind you as to where things are and where we're playing at the moment here in the Formula 4s, because of course it's been a long season up to this point. It's been an awful lot of fun, starting back in Brands Indy, which of course was the host of the Formula Ford Festival as well. We then went international to Circuit Zandvoort for the very first time, which was always a lot of fun. Snetterton 300, then we began Alton Park, Silverstone, Knockhill, and Knockhill basically starting this final three-race streak at the end of the season. Knockhill, Donington Park, Brands Hatch is where we'll be ending the season as well in just 1 week, Cam. And it's been so exciting in both the championships and again here in the drivers. Drop scores taking into account makes it a little bit more complicated, but Mark Fletcher, Shomi Shintani right there at the top, separated by very little, Cam. Lewis Werrell a little bit further behind and not in action today either.
Yes, of course, Shintani may be second in the championship, but he has got 6 wins, 4 on the bounce to Mark Fletcher's 3. So it's his other results that have let him down, and as we get to the drop scores, that might bring him back further in contention. But either way, it's just 16 points, and if he goes out and wins the final 4 races, I don't think that gap is going to last very long. So Mark, he needs to get qualifying right, doesn't he, to really have a shot to keep Shintani behind. He's on a bit of a run at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Certainly he's been flowing with the championship thus far, of course. Like I say, Fletcher's in good stead, but I think Shomi Shintani is going to really drag himself into this. They are, at the moment, in practice. They're a minute away from heading into qualifying, where they will be able to venture to the circuit. They'll be given 3 laps in a 10-minute session, and as normal this season, they'll be going out for basically, they'll do the out lap, and then they'll do their 3 time laps. They'll probably do them on consecutive laps to make sure they're keeping the tyre temperature. But there are a few places around here, Cam, where you can get off tracks, including out of the final corner, going through the fog, and of course, most notably, really, the old hairpin.
Absolutely. It's going to be a pretty interesting one in terms of that, because you really have to keep the momentum going in these cars. And this is the perfect track for momentum-based driving as well. The corners there, it's very flowing. They're sort of one into the other. There's very little hard braking zones until you get to the final couple of corners on the lap. So it's really going to be one of those ones to nail every single braking zone. And that's why battling around here is quite interesting, because you can actually sort of keep in some battle packs if you're together, but if you start battling, you'll really slow each other down coming out of these fast corners.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I actually really love this circuit. I've been here probably more than most circuits in the UK. It's got a great vibe to it, great flow to it, and it certainly is one that's enjoyable not only to see racing around, but to drive as well. Obviously, you got to see a little bit more of the British F4 Esports Championship 12 months ago round here. I was having a bit of connection issues on that day, and it was absolutely enthralling, both Formula Fords and the British F4 Esports Championship. So can't wait for that a little bit later on. The British F4 Esports Championship looks fantastically close with Graham Carroll, Henry Moore right there at the top. The team's champions also tightened up after the racing north of the border. This is a very different style of track to Knock Hill, isn't it?
Oh, certainly. It's Knock Hill basically is 4 corners. We have a little bit more here, and of course the lap times are quite a bit further. I mean, they're almost double the length around here. So yeah, definitely a different style of circuit, but one that I'm very much looking forward to indeed. And of course, last year though, we did see some very interesting racing. Although despite the reverse grid, it was the same podium of Henry Moore, Dan Moore, and Ronnie Smith in each of the races, despite the reverse grid. And of course, Henry Moore getting a double victory here at this circuit. Of course, not racing in this one. He'll be back later for the British F4. But certainly interesting. That is one of those tracks where the even in the reverse grid race, you can get back to the front.
If you have a short reverse grid, you could absolutely could contend for victories in both. If you get the big numbers, then it can be a little more tricky, but still it's very possible. As you say, Henry Moore out in action in the British F4 Esports Championship, as is Ronnie Smith. We're heading though into the final corner on board with Brandon Loudon. Cam Roger, talk me through a lap.
Absolutely. What a fantastic circuit we have here today. The Donington Park GP circuit, every corner on offering for today. For the first corner though, you go to the left hand side to open up Redgate, use that bit of pit exit, and you've got to use all of the curbs here, both on the apex and on the exit, before you run down the hill through Hollywood, through the Craner curves, completely flat out, but certainly a bit of movement on the steering wheel. You've got to keep the car planted through these corners. Get it to the left hand side to open up this old hairpin corner so fast, again using all of the curbs, actually going out nicely just to the edge of them, then up the hill. You don't really quite notice actually how much uphill it is. It's going to be very important for the draft, and a big send down the inside here up towards McLean's. A lot of overtaking will be done here before you work your way up the hill once more up towards Coppice. And this is an interesting corner because it opens up onto the back straight, but some people will try and overtake there. A little bit wide though for Loudon. Actually, he goes onto the grass, and as we come down the back straight, he's kept it in order. But now for this variant of the track, we come to the right hand side to open up the Fogarty S's. You can overtake down here, but you've got to be very careful. It goes from very wide to a one line chicane all over the curbs there, even into the bollards if you dare. And then now down in towards the Melbourne hairpin. Slight kick to the left before the braking zone, and of course the best overtaking opportunity on the track. Such a slow hairpin. It feels very pedestrian, but then you have to get back on the power and work your way up. But don't get too overconfident. Still one final corner to go at Goddard's, and it's actually a very tricky off-camber hairpin that you need to keep the car nice and planted, not go out too wide as it narrows up quite a bit, and then the short run to the line to hopefully put it on pole position.
Yeah, lovely track, a lot of fun. It's one that was, obviously it's been around for a long time. I think it was in the 1930s. This track was brand new when it was built. And then it was kind of like left derelict for ages. It was in about the 70s when Tom Wheatcroft picked it up and basically brought it to the circuit that we know and love today. I mean, this scan is really old as well, like, realistically speaking. But from having been there in person many, many times, not much has changed around here. And to be fair, I don't want a modern scan because then we get rid of this bridge. And I love this bridge. I don't know why, but I really like this bridge. We get rid of it. It's not there anymore. Hasn't been there for a long time. But for that, I'm like, no, bit it off. We don't need that. Doesn't need to be rescan. We're okay. We'll keep the bridge. On board with Sam Sanders, of course. You can see Croft and Woodhatch there at the top of the session on the first lap. Did actually receive a few awards. I think it was at Castle Coombe recently, receiving a few trophies and such. I was all on social media. If you want to go and check that out, Croft and Woodhatch on social media. But yeah, he's been receiving a few trophies. Probably out of the hunt for the main one in this championship.
Yes, unfortunately hasn't quite gone the way he would want to be. Races in the minis in real life, so he definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to racing, and hopefully can get some solid results to finish the season. Of course, a double podium back in Silverstone, so definitely has the pace in his championship, just needs to get those consistent results, and someone who has been getting those consistent results as such is Sam Sanders, sitting in 5th place in the championship. Solid driver, spoken to him of course many times in the interview room, getting those podiums as he comes out of this final corner. It's Fletcher who goes up to the top. Can Sanders get close and do anything about that? It is going to be up there for now, but not quite enough to get that pole position by 0.08 of a second.
Yeah, indeed. Gets himself very close. 36.9s being set at the moment. In practice, they were down in the low 36s. As Martin Vilk goes up onto the provisional pole. One final lap for these drivers to take around the circuit as Jonathan Smith goes his way up into 5th position. This is the final lap of the session for them. They only get themselves 3 timed laps in this session. Pretty much all of them are on their 3rd and final lap now, as we can see on board with Croft and Woodhatch there, going through the old hairpin, dipping 2 wheels into the grass on the left-hand side. You're absolutely fine to do so as we now head up towards McLean's and then Coppers. I've never, in all my years of driving Donington Park, I've never found a comfortable and consistent line at Coppers.
Definitely. It's such a weird corner. You kink to the left in the braking zone, then you actually turn in really early. It's an awkward sort of late apex there. Definitely a trick on even quite a few corners around here actually quite like that. It's quite difficult to find the racing line, and those who do of course would be higher up there, but we are seeing some very close times. Just 4/10 cover the top 10. Shintani is that 10th place driver, 4/10 off. I'm sure he's going to improve on this next lap, but definitely very close times up here towards the front at Donington. And Woodhatch, when he's 4th place, but he's less than a 10th off. Let's see if he can pick that up in his final couple of corners.
Yeah, he's flying at the moment, full commitment through the fog at ES, and almost dropped it out of the track limits. It might have been a little bit too slower though. He was over committed on entry. I think the first couple of times are about to come in from the likes of Brandon Loud, and Mark Fletcher goes up to the top of the session again with a 36.7 at the moment. Sam Sanders goes up to 2nd, isn't Ian Joyner then up to 3rd. 7,000 of a second separated the top times as Croft and Woodhatch slaps his car onto provisional pole position with 3 minutes remaining. Martin Vilk out of the session. Where is Shoma Shintani in all of this? He is on a time lap at the moment going into Coppice.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because he's 0.8 off. Surely he's going to improve from that one. He can't go from winning 4 races in a row to being outside the top 10 in qualifying. You definitely not expect that, but let's see what he's going to do. A lot of the lap times have obviously already been set, and he's one of the last drivers to go out, sends it through that chicane, but that is a big time from Woodhatch. 3/10 is a huge margin. Another 3/10 behind him, or behind Fletcher, is going to be about 6-7 drivers. Very, very big time indeed, but what can Shintani do? Is he's just got one final corner to go.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously looking for another pole position. Has had a couple so far this season. Would desperately like a 3rd. Brings it into the final corner. The drive with the most victories so far this season. 6 podiums, all 6 of them being the top step. Shoma Shintani out through the final corner. Is it good enough to improve? He is struggling around this circuit, but it's showing on the final lap. He's found the time as he goes his way into 2nd place, but still 1/4 of a second behind a dominant effort from Croft and Woodhatch.
Yeah, this is what we like to see from the number 2 machine. This is the speed that we know he's had all season. But unfortunately, 8th place in the championship. He's going to be struggling to, of course, win it from there as Mike Pollard decides to back out of that one with 1.5 minutes remaining. He is going to be down in 13th place at best. And even just behind, I've realised, Hans Mollat down in 14th place. He's been on the podium so far this season, but he's struggling today.
Yeah, that is a big shame. Both of the Mollats down 14th and 15th position. This is a circuit that you can go into action stations and make some progress on those. So if your qualifying's not gone well, it's not too bad. I'm expecting this one is very much going to be a pack race, surely.
Oh, definitely. It's, as I was mentioning earlier, it's one of those momentum tracks. If you keep together in a pack, keep flowing, you'll be able to keep up with each other. It's not a very stop-start where there's loads of sort of driver variables that mean you can lose time, you can lose the pack ahead. You can keep together here, so definitely expect that. So even though Woodhatch has a quarter of a second advantage in the qualifying, when he gets to the race, I don't think he's going to have that sort of a gap, to the rest of the field.
Indeed. Now, obviously, Shoma Shintani, they're starting from second position. What are the chances of him taking a victory from that spot? Because, of course, like you said before, time and time again, he's on a 4-victory streak at the moment. The last person to have won a race was Alton Park International, and it was Mark Fletcher behind the wheel. Think Shoma Shintani's going to win from there?
Well, if you remember back to Knock Hill last week, he did a massive move on Mark Fletcher to get the win. Back at Silverstone as well, we had an awesome battle with Woodhatch, managed to overtake him for the race win as well. So it's not like he gets to the front and he just pulls away. He knows how to do those overtakes against the important drivers. So let's see how they line up.
Yeah, the record at the moment is 6 consecutive victories by Henry Moore last year. We'll talk about that in a moment, though, because it's time to walk you through the starting grid. Crofton Woodhatch then on pole position, and by an incredible quarter of a second over the dominant man at the moment in the championship. 4 consecutive race victories for Shoma Shintani. He's looking for his 5th and his 7th of the season. Mark Fletcher, the title points leader, will be starting from 3rd, with Sam Sanders starting from 4th. Harvey Jones, 5th position, looking to take over 3rd position tonight in the championship race, with Lewis Werrell not being here. Ian Joyner there in 6th. Martin Vilk in 7th. Jonathan Smith in 8th position, with Brandon Loudon, who we saw on board with earlier on in the session. Ollie Stone, Corioline and Franek Sikorsky in 12th position, the first driver outside of the 1 second margin. Mikey Pollard will start from 13th position, with Hans Jakob Stevenson Mollat and Sondre Mollat there starting from the rear of the field. I believe Joshua Bagembe has made his way onto the grid and will be starting this one from 16th position. Let's go, Cam. Who's winning the first race of the night? We've got some time on this grid.
We do. What's quite interesting is that the cream always rises to the top. Even though we've had some interesting races and the qualifying's been up and down, we've got Woodhatch, Shintani and Fletcher, who of course was the podium in both races back at Silverstone. Fletcher's obviously got a lot better in the qualifying. He's improved that in the last week. I would still say Shintani's favourite, though. He's got the pace in the race. We know that. He's got the overtaking ability. I wouldn't be surprised if it's him.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Penultimate evening of racing in the Formula 4 is about to get underway. 15 minutes onto the clock, and Crofton Woodhatch will be starting from pole position. 4 races left to go to crown our champion as we race our way down towards Redgate and Turn 1. It's a good start from our pole sitter of Crofton Woodhatch. Mark Fletcher already going on the attack of Shoma Shintani down in the first corner, who immediately covered him off. Sam Sanders was trying to get to the outside as well in the attack for 3rd position, and they're side by side behind all that. Martin Vilk down the inside at the moment, trying to work his way up the order. It's Ian Joyner who is going side by side with. You've got Jonathan Smith and Brandon Loudon battling it out behind that as we head down to the old hairpin. There's contact and Joyner's going straight off the road.
Oh, he is. Just the tiniest bit of contact, but it wiggled to rear end. He went wide and then he couldn't get it slowed down for the old hairpin. That's such a shame from the driver who was up towards the front in the both races, actually up in Knock Hill. But now he's going to be down to the back and hoping to recover to a reverse grid position. Everyone's got into pretty much single file formation as it stands. The top 3, top 4 staying in order for now. Corey Lane has made his way up to 9th place, getting past Oliver Stone.
Yeah, indeed. Much tighter line being held by Mark Fletcher as they run through Coppice, and now out onto Starkey Straight, under where the very famous Dunlop Bridge would have been. The big tyre. Oliver Stone has been off the road at Coppice, and he's dropping right the way down the order. Excellent chicane at the Fog ES from Crofton Woodhatch, and Shoma Shintani's about to feel the pressure of his championship rival. Mark Fletcher's already trying to make a move. Shintani's gone out wide, and well wide he goes, dropping not only to Fletcher but to Sanders and to Harvey Jones as well, to the rear of that little train into 5th. Could that have been tactical?
Yeah, Shintani's definitely not sort of got into this race, into this track just yet, after that being a quarter of a second off the pole position in qualifying, and now dropping back 3 places in 1 corner. That was an aggressive move by Mark Fletcher. We've known he's been a little bit cautious in some races so far this season, but that certainly was not. He knows this is the time that he needs to fight Shintani for this championship, and what a big move that was. Yeah, that was an important moment for Fletcher. I don't think there's going to be any waiting around this season, because as much as he is the championship leader, I think realistically,
he will probably, he might even argue that he's not really the championship leader, because once you take into account the drop scores and then you think of the run of form that Shomi Shintani's been on, it is slightly more likely, in a sense, that with the results and the pace that at the moment Shintani's putting in, that actually Shintani will end up being the point leader as long as he keeps on this kind of consistency and obviously winning races all the time. If he wins all the races at the end of the season, he's obviously going to win the championship. At the moment, we ride on board with Shomi Shintani behind Harvey Jones, who was trying to attack Sam Sanders there up towards McLean's.
Yeah, they need to be careful. This was talking about in terms of the momentum. If they start battling like this and Harvey Jones can't get through on Sanders, the top two will start pulling away, and that can actually be a big important factor for Shintani's race. So let's find out if they're going to do that. Down in towards the hairpin, is there going to be any big moves? It is, but it's actually a little bit further behind. Up the inside, it is going to be potentially there for Loudon on Smith. Up the inside is going to be, as for the front actually, Fletcher and Woodhatch, they went side by side for a moment, and now it's actually Sam Sanders who's getting a run up to second place.
Yeah, indeed. So Sam Sanders with the inside run, Harvey Jones getting a good view of all of this. Fletcher was a little bit too aggressive on the inside going through the Melbourne hairpin, of course named because of the village of Melbourne, which is in that direction. And of course, as we race our way down towards the first corner once again, Fletcher with the inside line. You can definitely make some moves around the outside of Redgate though, and that's exactly what Sanders is trying to do, committing on the brakes, sending it to the outside. The 34 will have a better drive off of the opening corner of the track as we work our way through Hollywood and then into the Craner curves. We have the inside for the left-hander at the first part of the Craner curves, then it will flick right and then we'll get onto the brakes and head into the old hairpin. Fletcher backs out, so Fletcher confirmed now with being in third position as Jonathan Smith's had a moment in the background and straight into the cars as well. Oh, big moment for Jonathan Smith, and Sondre Mollett, I believe, has been collected.
Oh, that was a terrible second rejoin from Smith as well, with Ian Joyner, I think, just avoiding that one. There's about 4 cars involved in one corner. That's not what you like to see at all. A little bit of a calamitous affair there, unfortunately, for those drivers. And it looks like Sondre Mollett involved in all of that has gone back to pit lane. So his unfortunate run of form and run of sort of DNFs and finishing at the back is going to continue. Let's see this. Oh, that's a terrible rejoin from Smith.
It was
up the inside. He had nowhere to go.
Yeah, look, watch this from Jonathan Smith though. He's out of control here. He's backwards at the moment and the car just rolls its way back onto the track. So I think he's trying to do what he can, but can't quite do it. Got a barrel though for the race lead in the bottom right of your screen. There's the rejoin. Obviously, absolutely nothing that Sondre Mollett could do. Crofton Woodhatch then continues to lead this race. Sam Sanders, Mark Fletcher, Harvey Jones, and Shomi Shintani, the top 5 of the race lead. Big move from Shintani straight to the inside of Jones. Oh, I thought he was going to collect Fletcher there.
Yeah, I thought Woodhatch would get away with all this battling, but they managed to keep up behind him. And we are in the same order for now, but let's see how this one is going to continue. This track is very, very wide for these small cars, so there's a lot of room in certain corners for you to be able to dive down the inside. Shintani tried to make that work at Goddard, but it wasn't quite enough this time around. But I expect that move to work for someone at some point. Woodhatch is definitely a bit slower, though. Sanders is all over the back of him as you come through the Craner curves, and I think he's going to be in trouble when we get up towards McLean's.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, slipstream around here, because of the average speed being so high, the slipstream around here then is also really high. And at the moment, as we ride on board with Harvey Jones, you can see Sam Sanders trying to make a move on Crofton Woodhatch here as we head up towards McLean's. Tighter line coming in from Sanders. Out wide goes Crofton Woodhatch as they work their way through the top end of the circuit. Now into Coppice, and like I say, such an awkward corner, made even more awkward considering the 4 hungry drivers ready for victory, ready to pounce directly behind you. Crofton Woodhatch still yet to take a victory though in 2024.
Sanders, I think he was just lifting off a bit actually. Looking to the inside, that's not necessarily the quickest racing line. He's definitely able to try and at least find a way to get through, but he's got to be smart when he goes for it, because of course the race craft is quite important with when you make your move and when you time them, and of course it depends what the other drivers behind you are doing. Fletcher not making a move that time around. Let's see Shintani. Is he going to have a big send on Jones this time around? He does love it into that final corner. It's generally a late move. Actually, it's Jones who has a bit of a look up to the inside of Mark Fletcher. Not enough to make the move that time around though, as they stay in line for now. But something's definitely brewing here.
Certainly is. A bit of a battle behind. Martin Vilk and Brandon Loudon were quite tight off the final corner as well, but you can't keep your eye off of the top 5 at the moment. We're not even halfway through this race. Woodhatch, Sanders, then Fletcher, Jones and Shintani. Do remember, of this group of 5 drivers, 3 of them have victories. Obviously, Mark Fletcher has won, what is it, 3 times, isn't it? Shoma Shintani has won 6 times. And then, obviously, Harvey Jones has got a victory. One who doesn't have a victory is this driver here who's dropping back after a bit of a mistake there at the old hairpin. Sam Sanders could be dropping back behind Mark Fletcher. Sanders waiting for that first victory of the season. Here comes Harvey Jones as well. Straight to the inside as we work our way through McLean's. There's going to be a drag race up towards Coppice between the pair of them. And it will surely work out an advantage of the 34. But a big set from Harvey Jones creating the contact. This is going to end in tears. And there goes Harvey Jones round. It was a little bit too aggressive in my mind for Jones to go that kind of dive down into Coppice. It's too high speed of a corner to be trying that. He's fuming.
Absolutely, that is podium chance gone, and he's basically just got to hope for a reverse grid place now. But I think you call that right, Lewis. I think that was just a bit too aggressive, and especially as he was almost a full car length behind going into the braking zone and then diving up the inside into a very fast corner. As soon as you get the tiniest bit of contact, unfortunately just not able to save it. These cars are too wiggly on the rear end for that, and he's now down into 10th place. And we are looking at this fight a little bit further up. So this is Martin Vilk who's taken that 5th place, and he's got a bit of a train behind him. Of course, he's got Loudon, Pollard, Sikorsky, and even Mollett just on the back of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, the one thing for Harvey Jones right now is to kind of keep calm. He's got Ollie Stone with him, who's a quick driver himself, and they've got 2.8 seconds up to the group ahead. If that group ahead battles, they can work their way up this and again, start guaranteeing themselves better positions for the next race, and maybe even much better positions with the reverse grid in mind. It's not over yet, especially when there's 6 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Talk me through this one, Cam.
Yeah, so it goes, I mean, there already wasn't quite enough space, but unfortunately, it was that secondary bit of contact. I just think it was a little bit too late of the dive there in the braking zone. As let's see this though, actually, for Brandon Loudon. He's got to the left-hand side, trying to go around the outside now. Martin Vilk, who's defending all the way around the outside for Loudon. This is going to be for 5th place if he can make it work, and he certainly has done so. Contact in the background as Pollard tried to find his way to the inside, but Sikorsky was there. Yeah,
indeed. Elbows out driving in this group as well as at the front. And like you say, the likes of Hans Jakob Siversen Mollett also on the rear end of this train now, basically, considering he started basically from the rear of the field with Sondre Mollett. I mean, it's a solid drive thus far, and there's still plenty of time. 5 minutes 40 seconds left to go. Taking a look at Martin Vilk at the moment, currently running in 6th position, staring at the rear end of Brandon Loudon. Onto the brakes, heading down to the Melbourne hairpin. Defensive line being taken from Brandon Loudon as Franek Sikorsky and Mikey Pollard switch positions for 7th.
Or is it going to the inside at the final corner? Goddard is going to be ascending side by side in the braking zone. No, actually, Pollard backs out of that one. And that's going to be Sikorsky. Oh, no, I bet, though. Loudon's gone around. Was it really contact with Vilk, or was that on his own? Didn't quite see. But either way, it looks like Sikorsky's gone through the pair of them. He's up into 5th place now, as Loudon is going to have to rejoin. He's going to lose another place to Bigembe, and he's certainly not going to be happy about that, as Pollard's now gone up to 5th, 6th place, because Martin Vilk's gone around.
Doesn't exactly look fuming, does he?
No, he's chilled.
He does seem relatively chilled. Maybe he knows more than we do. Mikey Pollard dragging his way down the hill. Bit of an inside look coming in from Hans Mollett, of course, with the inside run heading down into the old hairpin. There will be the move for the 333 car up to 6th position, but Pollard might have the drive off the corner. They're side by side as they head under the Starkeys Bridge. Now they head their way through the Schwanz curve. The left-hand here at the moment as they get onto the brakes. Flick it through the right-hander at McLean. Still side by side between the pair of them. Martin Vilk right involved in this and dragging their way into contention in this fight. Harvey Jones and Ollie Stone as well. Big slide coming off the road. There goes Martin Vilk, and this is all turned into massive drama.
Yeah, 2 big contacts at Coppice. That one a little bit less so, but it looks like Vilk has gone. Yeah, he's back into the pit lane even. So that's Loudon. He lost it on his own. Vilk and then Sikorsky made contact in the background, and that was a decent rejoin from Loudon. Did wait for the cars. And then this was a little bit later. You're going to see Martin Vilk going to get taken out here. Of course, Loudon's on that inside of Pollard. He's completely a car length back, then just squeezes over to the left. Wheel-to-wheel contact. Vilk goes around, and then I guess just decides to call it a day at that point.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame, but it promotes Harvey Jones up to 7th position. He's got past Hans Jakob Siversen Mollett and all that. Ollie Stone still remains behind them. Up to 7th position on a recovery drive is Harvey Jones, which is, you know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty solid at the moment. He's trying to work his way back into this one. There's another move, another position being dropped for Brandon Loudon as he has a drag race with Ian Joyner. Looks to the inside though of Joshua Bagembe, who starts from the 16th and final position on this grid. Brandon Loudon backs out from it. The likes of Ian Joyner tries to go around the outside, but Joshua Bagembe might hold firm. He's not happy with the squeeze there. He's starting to look a little bit more agitated, is Loudon.
As that was an insane move by Joyner. Double move around the outside of Red Gate. He's on the grass again, is Loudon. He's trying to do the outside himself here in the old hairpin. This might work, actually, get the up and under, get the momentum as we come up the hill, but actually the slipstream is pulling Bagembe back. And remember, this is for 10th place, so this is for a potential reverse grid pole. Up the inside for Bagembe. It's going to be in towards McLean's. He's very tight on that inside line. Can he hold it down? Yes, he can. Just leaves enough room for Joyner on the outside. But look at the run for Loudon as we come up towards the next corner at Coppice. The outside line isn't necessarily going to work, but he might slow Bagembe down just a little bit for the straight, but not enough as he finally shows some frustration.
Yeah, I think he's more irritated than that. It wasn't like, oh, he didn't give me any room. It's just more frustration, like, what can I do at this point? Where else can I go? Maybe he's having a couple of struggles with the car as well. Had a look to the outside of Coppice, but the outside of Coppice, like, you're absolutely right. It's one corner around here that you definitely can't make a move really around the outside unless you're fully alongside. Sam Sanders and Mark Fletch, they're switching for second position. Crofton Woodhatch continues to lead. Shomi Shintani gets to the inside of his championship rival. 2 minutes remain on the clock. They'll cross the line and begin the penultimate lap here of the fourth to last race of the championship. That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Absolutely. Has a big send down the inside for Fletcher. No, I was just about to say though, this is not looking good for Fletcher as Loudon's off once again at the final corner. That's twice he's gone around there, and he's actually going to call it a day. He's going to come down the pit road with a couple laps to go. That's unfortunate for the drivers running up in towards the battle for P5 at one point, but now is going to be unfortunately coming down pit road. That is actually into the points. Maybe that's the drive-through.
No, straight drive-through. He's not happy about it either. Maybe he had that for a little while and was aware of that one. You can see him trying to communicate and really not being happy. Frustrating race for Brandon Loudon, to be perfectly honest, as we head back up to the race lead. Crofton Woodhatch, half a second at the moment. Could this be the day?
I think it could be. I think it could be, because Shintani's going to start battling with Sanders and Mark Fletcher's going to be getting involved because, we didn't quite finish the point earlier. Basically, Fletcher needs to finish ahead of Shintani, really, to stop the bleeding that he's been having in the last few races, losing points to Shintani hand over fist. And let's see if he can get it done this time around. Or is the Japanese driver going to finish ahead of Fletcher for another race in a row? Less than a minute remaining. They're going to get another lap here as a little bit of a look once again for Fletcher. He's showing his cards. He's trying to work out where he can get by on this final lap that's coming up.
Yeah, indeed. You're absolutely right. Fletcher needs to be ahead of Shintani as Harvey Jones has made a move on Mikey Pollard and moves up to 6th position. But will Shomi Shintani remain in 3rd position? He's got a win streak of 4 consecutive victories. The record is 6. He could break that if he takes both victories tonight, and then, of course, the first victory in the season finale at Brands Hatch in a week's time. But that might be getting a little bit far ahead, because at the moment he's been outclassed, as are the other 3 in this battle, because Crofton Woodhatch has the full control here at Donington Park.
Oh, he does. I think he has this victory sorted as long as he gets out this corner here and up at McLean's and Coppice correctly. These next 3 corners are going to be important, but no, he's gone wide. He has gone wide as I say that, and Sanders is going to get a bit closer. It might not be enough for McLean's, but he is going to have an opportunity when we get towards the end of the lap. It's going to be a big dive if he wants to send it. He's off thinking about it up the inside, but actually now Woodhatch, he's looking in his mirrors and he's under attack.
Yeah, the main place that you got to be thinking about now is nailing the fog at ES, making sure you get down to the Melbourne hairpin correctly, because that is the bit where you're going to feel the pressure from Sanders. And to be fair, you might even be talking about a big dive coming in from Shomi Shintani. What do you reckon the heart rate now is from Crofton Woodhatch? As here comes Sam Sanders to the outside as they work their way down to the fog at ES. Defensive line being taken by Crofton Woodhatch, but he's about to hang on, I believe.
He might do, but Shintani's coming in the background as well. He's having to defend from Fletcher, who got the run out of Coppice, down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Is there going to be a move by any of these drivers? Up the inside for Shintani. He's going to be slow. He went wide here earlier on. Bit of a lock-up, but he has that stuck for 3rd at the moment.
No, fantastic stuff. First of these this double hairpin sequence completed for Crofton Woodhatch, for Sam Sanders, for Shomi Shintani and for Mark Fletcher. The final corner left to go. Shintani with a big move down the inside. Bit of contact with Sam Sanders. Ahead of all of that, Crofton Woodhatch. It's been a long time. 13 races this season, and finally Crofton Woodhatch goes to the front of the field from pole position. It is finally a victory for Woodhatch. Shomi Shintani comes across the line in 2nd behind and closes down on the championship lead. Sam Sanders finishes in 3rd position, and we won't be talking to Mark Fletcher. He's not even on the podium.
Yeah, that was a disappointing race from Fletcher. He was looking strong at the beginning, and in the end, Shintani with that move on Sanders sneaks another couple of points advantage over Fletcher, and this is really coming the way of the Japanese driver this second half of the season. What a achievement by him. He dropped back earlier, managed to get back up to his grip position of second place, and in the background, in the end, of course, we've seen the likes of Jonathan Smith. He went around earlier. He's finishing down in 13th place, and in 10th in the end was Oliver Stone, the last drive here, who has a potential for the reverse grid pole.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, very exciting race there. Very, very interesting one. Franek Sikorsky went from 12th to 5th, which is very solid. Harvey Jones dropped back a position from 5th to 6th, but let's be honest, a bit more of an impressive drive when you consider the issue earlier on at Coppice, which cost him an awful lot of positions. But finally, it is a victory for Crofton Woodhatch, which is always a lot of fun. A reminder, the second race of the evening, though, here in the Formula Fords is the reverse grid race. So the spinning wheel will have to decide as to which number is going to be reversed around. It's the numbers between 5 and 10. We've seen the biggest, we've seen the smallest. Whereabouts is it going to fall today? It's not going to be 10. It might be 5, actually. Is it going to stop on 7? No, it is going to go to 5. Oof, poor Harvey Jones working his way back up to 6th position. Not going to be good enough. It's going to be outside of the reverse grid. It is the smallest possible here at the Donington Park circuit. And there was a 5-car battle earlier on in the race. And it could well be a 5-car battle in the second race as well. Crofton Woodhatch, though, taking a victory by 3/4 of a second over Shoma Shintani. A move at the final corner means that Shintani beats Sanders by 9,000ths of a second. And Mark Fletcher on the outside looking in when it comes to podiums. Just 4th position for the 111. Franek Sikorsky inside the top 5. Those are the 5 that will be reversed. Harvey Jones, and I will say, fantastic effort to recover, but only to 6th position, 1 position short of the reverse grid. Mikey Pollard in 7th position with Hans Jakob Stevenson Mollak from the rear of the field up to 8th. Ian Joyner and Ollie Stone rounding out the top 10 positions. Those behind that will be Corey Aline, Joshua Bagembe, Jonathan Smith, who obviously had a bit of a moment coming down the hill. Brandon Loudon there in 14th position, and a retirement for Martin Vilk and for Sondre Mollak, courtesy of that incident with Jonathan Smith. How Jonathan Smith even got to the checkered flag though, Cam, I will have absolutely no idea, considering the size of the whack to the side of that car. Let's jump straight, though, into interview territory, because it is time to catch up with our pole sitter and our race victor. It is finally Crofton Woodhatch who's grabbed the top step of the podium. Fantastic stuff, incredible drive, incredible qualifying for starters. Let's focus on that 1/4 of a second on pole position over Shoma Shintani. Where'd you find that?
I think it was all just, I don't know, to be honest. I guess just pushing through the chicane, maybe you can get some time, so it's just how brave you want to be on that final lap. I mean, I got an off track on the second one, so I knew it was all down to that final one, and I just thought I'd just go for it. If I off track it, and I'm starting down the order. But no, it was a pretty good lap.
Let's focus then on the race. Looked like a tough fight, throughout. Obviously, you had Sherm, you had Sam, you had Mark, and obviously Harvey Jones was also in that train earlier on. But you seem to control the train quite nicely, considering slipstream's quite high around here. Have you got some tricks up your sleeve? Have you just kind of been nailing consistency? Like, what's the change that you've been able to work around the circuit?
I think it was a case of I was making mistakes, and then the people behind were making mistakes as well. So it just, every time I would make a mistake, person behind me would probably make a mistake, so the train just kind of stayed as it was. Like, the session felt really hot for some reason, and it was just really slippy, so compared to the qualifying, it's meant to be like right after it, but it just felt completely different, and I could hardly keep the car on the track through some of the corners, so I was struggling a little bit, but then I guess I just didn't struggle as much as others. I don't know.
Well, obviously, you've got a reverse grid to deal with. You haven't had to deal with overtaking anyone yet today, because you obviously started from pole position and you led all the way through. So you've not had to deal with overtaking. You'll be starting from 5th position, so it's the smallest that you've possibly got, so that's fine. How do you feel overtaking is around here? Because it can be kind of one of those ones where there is a lot of overtaking opportunities, but it can also feel like it's really hard to actually make your way up an order around here.
Yeah, I think overtaking, there are places to overtake, but there's a lot of it's like a cutback or something like that, so it's not always that you're going to get it. Especially, I think the second session might be wet as well, so that could help overtaking if I can drive it I didn't have a very good time at Snetterton in the wet. So, but no, just hopefully try and get back on the podium.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Crofton, it is great to talk to you as a race winner here in the Formula Fords. Congratulations, thank you, and good luck for race 2.
Thank you.
Lovely. Crofton Woodhatch there, finally a winner after 13 races here in the Formula Fords. Let's talk to position number 2 with Shoma Shintani, of course, making that move late on in the race. A dive down the inside of the final corner, Shoma, and you made up to second position. Where did that come from? Yeah, I mean, it was such a good move on Sam. It was very brave.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, to be honest, I have a good, good confidence to dive on last corner. So yeah, I sent it and it's success.
You dropped back a little bit earlier on in the race with a bit of a mistake, maybe a mistake rather, at the penultimate corner of the track down at the Melbourne hairpin when you dropped from second to, I think it was 5th. Was that a mistake or was that intentional? Did you kind of like get out of the way and wanted to control things from the back?
Yeah, I mean, it was a mistake. Just I lock up my front tires, and I can't make turns. But yeah, still, I was keeping cool and find some places and getting P2.
Well, your win streak is over. Obviously, it was 4 victories in a row over the last 2 nights of racing. I mean, what are your chances of jumping back to winning? It's going to be wet in the next race, we're hearing, so it's going to be quite tricky out there.
Yeah, it's wet, so I don't know how my pace is good or bad. So let's see.
We shall indeed see. Shoma Shintani, thank you so much for joining us. We'll chat to you maybe after race 2.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. There we go. Shoma Shintani onto his first podium of the season that wasn't a victory. So that's always a fun one. Now we've got Sam Sanders to talk to as well. Just about beaten there at the final corner. It's a big dive from Shoma. Were you kind of expecting that move down to the final corner?
Yeah, I think we've had a couple of races now where Shoma's had a look into the last corner, so I was kind of half in my mind that he might ever go there, and I tried to cover the line a little bit, but I didn't want to fully white line it and kill my exit out the corner, so it's always a difficult one to weigh up. But good move from him, a big lunge, but there was just about a car's width on the inside, which he managed to find, so I guess got to give credit there for XG.
It's a lot of fun racing around Donington Park though in cars like this. It was a big pack all the way through the race. What do you think of your chances of winning all the way through that one, or were you kind of maybe even thinking that Crofton was maybe a little bit strong? You were very close in the final lap, to be fair.
Yeah, it was 2 mistakes was too many in this field, really. I had a couple of... I saw Crofton made a bit of a mistake on the final lap, which got me right up to the back of him, and then a little bit of a miscalculation to kind of end up on the outside into the chicane, and that kind of killed my chances for the final sector. But no, I really considered driving from everyone around the front. It was a really good fun fighting everyone. I think it was on the cards, but I didn't really play it quite so well in the final lap, and yeah, a couple of mistakes that were a little bit untidy that hurt my chances there.
How are you feeling about racing in the wet? Because that's what the word in the street is for race number 2, that some of the soggy stuff is hitting the track.
Yeah, excited for racing in the rain. I mean, it's a difficult circuit from practice in the rain. It's just slippy all over the surface. So also the gravel trap is like a proper one, and the car will just stay there when it ends up there. So I'm going to try and keep it out of the gravel on the black stuff. And we went by Snetterton. Again, a couple mistakes there which hurt me, but I think my raw pace is pretty good in the rain. So we'll see how we go in the warm-up, and then hopefully a good race from there.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, Sam. Good luck in what could be quite a difficult race.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
There we go. Sam Sanders then out and onto the podium once more. It is wet on Circuit Cam. It is going to be fun. It's not ridiculously soaking wet, but it is wet.
And I mean, it was already a little bit slippy actually in that previous race from what we heard from Crofton. But obviously, the rain is something completely different. I don't know how many of the drivers would have been expecting that, but it's a big change. It's not like we already had the clouds, we already had some, overcast weather where they could expect it. Now, all of a sudden, we're jumping from the dry to a bit of, damp, wet conditions. So they got to turn it on. They've only got a few minutes now in the warm-up just to have a couple of laps to really see what the grip is. And then they got to go and fight for some points for this championship. It's quite an exciting time.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the weather in this area. The last time I was at Donington Park, it did exactly that. It went from being lovely dry weather throughout most of the day to us racing to an Indian restaurant and picking up some oversteer in my car on the way to it. I was driving perfectly normally, of course. It was just very, very wet. Cam's been in the car with me. He knows I drive absolutely within the limits of the rain. We've got about 3.5 minutes left to go, though, of practice before they get into the rain. That's why I kind of wanted to speed through these interviews, let those drivers get to grips with the circuit. They will have already done some practice, I'm sure. Like when you're practicing at something like this, you know where we're at in the UK. You're going to practice a little bit of wet weather driving, surely.
Yeah, you should do at least a few laps. Although it's easier said than done because, especially when you only have a week between the races, there's not a lot of time. Obviously there's other competitions going on, just general driving, general practice, and of course life as well. So you can't always get onto the sim. So I'm sure they haven't done loads of practice as they would do if we had a month in between races. So it is going to be a sketchy one, and I think that's why a couple of the drivers there in the interview, they seemed like they didn't quite know what their pace was going to be in these wet conditions.
Yeah. Exactly, and the style of racing is also slightly different. I mean, we can see it here. So what I mean, it's not insanely wet, but it is raining. It's wet. It's coming down. It's you're not seeing big spray clouds and stuff come off the rear, and so it's still actually relatively bright, realistically speaking. But it is tricky. Sometimes these are even harder though than full wet. So that said, because we've only got one compound of tyre, that does make this a lot easier, because I'm sure some of the British F4 drivers might have even been looking at this and thinking, I reckon I can get around in a slick. Whereas in this, it's just like, you just got the one tyre. No confusion there.
Yeah, in some ways it makes it easier. There's some ways it makes it harder because it's neither perfect in the dry nor the wet as such. But yeah, it's definitely wet out there. It's not really dry as such. But the drivers need to obviously just have a feel, have a look-see where they're going to be putting their cars. Because of course, when it gets to the full wet conditions, you're not going to be using the same racing line, because obviously the rubber line gets very slippery because of the rubber. So you might take a slightly different line. Whereas in those half and half conditions, you have to really feel out where you're going to put the car to try and work it out. And it looks like, it's definitely quite a bit slower there through turn one.
Yeah, at least from what I'm seeing here, this rain should remain this heaviness. Heaviness? Is that a word?
I think just this heavy.
I'm going to go with heaviness. Why not? It's not a word, but that's fine.
Intensity.
I'm going with heaviness. We're just going to commit to it. I'm a meteorologist. It's fine. I think it's going to stay at this heaviness for effectively for the race. It's not going to get any heavier. The heaviness is not going to increase. God, I'm good at this.
Yeah, English is hard sometimes. So yeah, that's quite an interesting fact. So we're not going to get a monsoon, is basically what you're saying.
I believe so. According to iRacing, the track is lightly wet. That is the terminology that it's using.
Well, we have to go by that, I guess.
Huh?
We have to go by that, I guess.
Exactly.
Though it definitely looks wet out there. There's quite a bit of spray there.
Yeah, but it's lightly wet. As Brandon Loudon skips over the Fogarty S with the final 15 seconds of the session remaining. Obviously, the start grid is not going to be like what we had at Knock Hill, where one side of the circuit, remember the British F4, where one side of the grid was dry, the other side of the grid was wet. Don't think we're going to be having that because the rain is coming down, and that was because the rain had stopped.
Yes, absolutely. So it's going to be a bit of a different factor there. For them, so they should at least have all got maybe 2-3 laps out there to have enough information to go into this race. But it's quite an interesting one, especially for Mark Fletcher, who really needs to finish ahead of Shintani here and get some points back.
Certainly so. Well, they work their way onto the grid for the third to last time in 2024, and of course, after epic drive. It will be the likes of Frank Sikorsky starting from the pole position. That was a good drive from basically the back end of the top 10 all the way up to 5th position, which is given the reverse grid for pole position. Then Mark Fletcher, Sam Sanders, Shomi Shintani and Crofton Woodhatch top 5 in the previous race. Harvey Jones down to 6th. Obviously has a lot to do after that contact in the previous one. Mikey Pollard with Hans Jacob, Stevenson Mollett from the rear of the field up to 8th. Ian Joyner ahead of Ollie Stone. Corey Aline and Joshua Bagembe from 16th position up to 12th. And then Jonathan Smith and Brandon Loudon, the 14 cars. We are missing, of course, Sondre Mollett. Once again, unfortunately missing in this race. I think there's a couple of others as well, but that is what it is. Frank Sikorsky then onto the reverse grid pole very quickly. No, I'll come to you later, it's fine. Frank Sikorsky will be starting from the reverse grid pole, then Mark Fletcher alongside with basically a must-win race for him. The green flag is waved and we are underway here at Donington Park for the third to last time in 2024. It is a really good start from the 111 from the championship leaders. We head our way down into the first corner. The inside line being taken by Frank Sikorsky as they try and find their grip. Sikorsky's in way too deep, and there goes Mark Fletcher straight for the up and under and into the race lead. Sam Sanders follows his way through, and that will be, unfortunately for Frank Sikorsky, dropping right the way back into the mid-pack.
Yeah, didn't keep his advantage of pole position for very long. There's always sliding as we come through the crater curves as well. Harvey Jones gets past him, so that's down to 6th place. As you've seen a bit of side-by-side in the background as well. Ian Joyner defending. Bagembe was getting up his inside in towards the old hairpin. And Bagembe's gone, though. Bagembe has gone around. I think Oliver Stone's been overtaken by Mollett, but Bagembe's definitely gone. And to the back, oh, huge contact, as that is Loudon going up in the air. Sorry, Mollett, I should say, going up in the air and dropping to the back of the pack.
It's not a good day for the Mollats, is it? I will say up towards the front, Shomi Shintani's dropped back behind Crofton Woodhatch. So Woodhatch is up into 2nd position. Big snap of oversteer I've just seen coming in from Sam Sanders, who was in a little bit too deep going into Coppice. Couple of struggles as they're finding the puddles, and that will be a few positions dropped by Sanders, and now down into 4th position. So Crofton Woodhatch up to 2nd, Shomi Shintani up to 3rd. Mark Fletcher continues to lead by half a second as they find their way through the foggy air. These opening laps, it's all about finding where the grip is and spotting where the big puddles are. And there is one right on the apex of the old hairpin, probably the place you want to find it the least. Wow, that was close from Shintani.
Oh my, I thought he was going to be doing a Skittles moment there, taking out Woodhatch. But just like he did in the previous race, he goes deep. Obviously, he needs to get some confidence in the brakes in towards that Melbourne hairpin. Up the inside line is going to be for Fletcher and Woodhatch. They try and find the optimal racing line. This is definitely more wet than what we saw in the warm-up just a few minutes ago. And this is going to be a tough one for the drivers in such an important moment in the championship as well. They've got to keep it on the track. And the thing is for Woodhatch, he's not really in the championship fight, of course, so he can just go for it, go full send. Fletcher might need to think about the championship, but at the same time, he needs to finish behind or ahead of Shintani's. There's Joyner losing it and making contact with Mollett.
Yeah, indeed. Just out onto the curb, and the curbs will have really, really low levels of grip around here, especially when you're at that kind of point and you're so awkwardly weighted on them. Into the old hairpin they go. There is that puddle. You can kind of see it on the inside. You can really see it from the onboard to be right on board with Hans Jacob Stevenson Mollett. That is where Ian Joyner just lost it. It just is such a weird half spin from Joyner, and to be fair, I don't even think he would have been expecting anything like that, and Mollett could do nothing about it. Frank Sikorsky's been off the road, drops down to 9th position. There he is. He's going slow as he climbs up the hill towards the Schwantz curve. It's Mark Fletcher leading then from Crofton Woodhatch and Shomi Shintani. There is Sikorsky's spin. Just completely loses it there. Remember, it was Fletcher, wasn't it, who nearly lost it on the Bentley Straight at Snetterton, wasn't it? Just out of nowhere.
Possibly Mollett, actually. I think it was Mollett from the... yeah, because I remember on the interview we were talking about it as well, actually. But yeah, either way, you can definitely spin up the rear wheels on this car. But Bagembe, the same corner, the same place there, underneath the bridge. And it seems to be very wet at that point of the track. We come down in towards the Melbourne hairpin. Big send up the inside from Shintani. Woodhatch leaves the space, and that is going to be done. Aggressive move. Sanders is going to get through as well. So Woodhatch obviously looking in his mirror, seeing that, opening the door, and not able to do enough to cover it off. So Shintani is looking good once more as he is obviously coming to get another race victory.
Yeah, he's going to go for it. He's going to try and get 7 race victories this season. Remember, it was 10 last season from Henry Moore. That is now impossible for Shomi Shintani to beat the season. I think he can join it, but he can't beat it as he's instantly going for the race lead around the outside of Mark Fletcher. He might get squeezed off wider, as Fletcher says absolutely not. We didn't speak to Fletcher after the first race because he finished in 4th position, but right now he's going to be tight. Shintani's going for the race lead, but Croft and Woodhatch sat there. I mean, there's 11 minutes left to go in this one, Cam. There's still plenty of time. If I'm Woodhatch right now, I'm not rushing to get back involved in this. I can still see the leader. It's all very close. Look at how difficult it is in the old hairpin.
Absolutely. Look at the big puddle on the inside there. They literally purposefully avoided that. Oh, big slide from Shintan. He manages to save it. He almost copied the likes of Bigembe, who went around joining it earlier as well. And that is enough for Woodhatch to have a look around the outside at least. There's going to be a squeeze, but no, they just about leave each other room. And in the end, Woodhatch is going to have to back at that one. Here comes Sanders, though, to come through as well. He's taking advantage of that one. He sat in fourth place for a while. Slight bit of contact between them, but he's up to third.
Yeah, he would have hit quite a large puddle there with Croft and Woodhatch on the run around the outside of McLean's. You can't really do those outside moves now, because as soon as you dip two wheels into one of those puddles, it's going to slow you down. It's going to basically try and drag the car around, and Harvey Jones is in this fight as well. It's the same top five as it was in the early stages of race number one this evening, but it is Mark Fletcher leading from Shoma Shintani. If Shintani wins this race, he is definitely going to be the favourite heading into the season finale for the series title here in the Formula Fords. He's going for the race lead, looking to the outside as they head their way down into the Melbourne hairpin. Takes the lead very briefly. There's contact between the top two, and off the road goes Shoma Shintani. There was a bit of contact between the pair of them, and it's opened the door for Sanders and for Croft and Woodhatch to work his way through. Sanders is instantly going for the race lead, but that's going to open the door once again for Shoma Shintani to come through on Croft and Woodhatch.
How are they still going in a straight line? They were a split second away from Fletcher being spun around there, but somehow they are still going. Fletcher has the lead, in fact, as we come down towards Redgate for another time of asking. Shintani's still in with the shout up into P3, side by side with Woodhatch, and that just shows you Fletcher is getting more aggressive as the season goes on. Almost further contact with Woodhatch and Shintani as we come down the hill through Hollywood. We are 2 by 2 in towards the Crater Curves. Jones can see absolutely nothing with 4 cars worth of spray up ahead. Find your braking zone in this. Around the outside for Croft and Woodhatch. Can he make it stick? I think he has. Yes, he's up into third place.
Yeah, but watch out for the puddle. Again, those two on the right side, as soon as they go out towards it, there's the big slide coming in from Sanders. So they know where that puddle is. If they go slightly wider there, going through the Starkey's curve, under where the Starkey's bridge is, that's where the problems really come. Here comes Croft and Woodhatch trying to go around the outside. Makes contact there with Sanders just ahead. And Croft and Woodhatch around the outside, 2 consecutive corners. And he's back up to second position as he attacks for the race lead on the rear end of Mark Fletcher. Shoma Shintani staring at this, thinking about how he can get himself back involved in it. And Croft and Woodhatch, he's a man possessed this lap. We're not even halfway through the race as he fires his way straight past on Mark Fletcher, who's going slow here as he's aquaplaned a little bit coming out of cockpit. And this is absolute drama as Sam Sanders is sending it to the inside of Mark Fletcher. There comes Shoma Shintani, and here comes Harvey Jones.
Oh my word, 3 wide, down in towards the Melbourne hairpin. We've also got Fletcher just up ahead. Woodhatch has got away by 1 second in one chicane. Shintani goes in deep once more. Around the outside of Harvey Jones, he's going to go. Contact is made with Sanders. These two lose the top 3, and podium chance is gone for those.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gone for now. There was definite contact between the pair of them. Has Harvey Jones got damage and all that? He's certainly not happy with Sanders. Was it those two that made contact in the previous race?
Oh, Sanders, I think he's got damage. Yes, trying to actually remember who Harvey Jones made contact with. Sanders, big damage into the pit lane in the background.
He's out.
And I thought he missed the pit lane. So that is race done, basically. It's going to be side by side, though, in towards turn 1 for the championship contenders. They've already made contact so far this race. Further contact is made as we come down the hill.
Yeah, indeed, as Mark Fletcher's going to hang on to second spot. And it does seem as though it's going to be the double for Croft and Woodhatch, because he has gone 1.4 seconds. It's completely in his control now. If he drops it, it'll be of his own volition. At the moment, he is looking far too in control around the Donington Park circuit. Let's take a look back at this. So Sam Sanders gets to the inside. He's halfway alongside, but only halfway alongside what is effectively the second apex there at the Melbourne hairpin. I mean, it was a bit tricky between the pair of them, but I don't know, that feels a bit more like racing, that one.
Absolutely. I mean, Sanders just, he went in to the open door and unfortunately just closed, as you say. It's sort of like a double apex kind of corner. It's quite a long apex. And unfortunately, their lines just joined. Let's see how this works, though, for Fletcher. He's definitely the slowest of these top drivers. Look at the background. We're getting further drivers getting involved. To the outside is going to be for Shintani, who is going to brake later. Surely it is not going to be Mark Fletcher on their inside wetter line. And that is too deep from Shintani, but can he keep it? He's gone all over the track, and Fletcher might be close enough to have a think down in towards the Melbourne hairpin. This could be an important move for the championship. Shintani finishes ahead of Fletcher.
Yeah, Shintani's going to go deep here again, though. The up and under is going to come here as Mark Fletcher tries to fill the gap. I think Fletcher's got damage, by the way, because he's been very slow off of Coppice the last couple of laps. And obviously, he did make quite large contact, quite substantial contact with Shoma Shintani. There's no love lost between these two. They are fighting hard. More contact between these two drivers. The top two in the championship at the moment, going wheel to wheel, and what would be in touring car racing door to door at the moment, as they are really knocking wheels at the moment. 5 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in this race. I think Shoma Shintani might actually check out. I do believe Fletcher might have some damage.
Yeah, I think this is done. I think Shintani was faster anyway. So this is looking good for Woodhatch to get a victory. But can he hold Shintani's 2 seconds with 5.5 minutes to go? I think Fletcher's not going to be able to re-overtake Shintani. And now Jones is actually going to be having a thing. I'd say that. Shintani's gone wide. He's obviously not confident on the brakes today. And here comes Fletcher. Can he keep it pinned through that puddle? Yes, he does. Up the hill. Shintani's one side. Shintani's around. This could be big if he keeps it out of the wall.
He does keep it out of the wall. Shintani hit that puddle. We've seen it catch a few people out. He was a little bit too wide going through the Starkey's curve, and he's going to drop back, but he's going to keep Mikey Pollard at bay. Potentially, there's going to be a bit of a brush between the pair of them. The battle of the moment for 6th position, and the 27, one of the championship protagonists, says no thank you to that overtake potentially happening, and hangs on now to 6th position. Just pushing a little bit too hard, and a few too many mistakes from Shoma Shintani in this second race of the evening. And that's what cost him. Let's watch this spin. It just comes out of nowhere, but you can see those puddles. So I say nowhere, it is kind of like you can see where it happens.
Yeah, he's a 4th or 5th driver just this race who's done that. So there's definitely a point of the track there. As you say, there's a big puddle, and unfortunately just hitting it at the wrong point. And if that is going to give Mark Fletcher some crucial points, who knows how important that's going to be when we get to Brands Hatch next week for the season finale. That's going to be so fun to see how close we're going to be when all the drop saws come into effect as well. And let's see also if Fletcher can therefore keep ahead of Harvey Jones, because it's less than a second between them now for second place as we watch Jonathan Smith up inside the top 10. He's got Mollett just ahead, but this could be important up ahead as well, because Elaine is up into 4th place, but that might be Oliver Stone's position as we get to Redgate.
Yeah, I will be updating you with the championship points later on in this broadcast after we've done with the interviews. I believe then I'll be able to at least read you through some of where the points are at the moment before we get into British F4 Esports. I'll remind you at the end of the night as to where things are in this championship, as well as to where British F4 Esports is. Remember that the penultimate round of the British F4 Esports will be on after this, so that'll be following up this broadcast at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Following up this broadcast, it's on this broadcast. I swear Ollie Stone keeps adding boxes in the background here, because I swear that there's more being added round by round.
That was a huge slide by Elaine as well, but you're right. I wonder if they have their own business and it's old invoices or something, but it's certainly it's getting quite large, is that wall of boxes, and hopefully they don't fall down on top of him, because it seems like his rig is certainly pinned up against him, and he is pinned up the back of Corey Elaine as well, who is having such a resurgence in this championship. He's getting stronger and stronger as the races go on. Stone is getting closer down in towards the Fog TS's, but is he close enough? Almost closes in too much and gets the line a bit wrong.
No, I think he's just adding boxes to it throughout the season. We've just not really noticed too much. It's kind of like the Henry Moore, Danamore, it was Danamore's little was it the text wall thing that he had that he kept putting messages on. That obviously he then apparently lost or something, but then obviously abandoned us in British F4 Esports, so it's fine. He did quite well in IndyCar Esports, that's fine. I'll allow it.
Yeah, absolutely. These drivers are going quite crazy today. This battle a little bit further down inside the top 10 is crazy, as Jonathan Smith unfortunately just loses a bit of time to Sikorsky. Remember Sikorsky, he was leading going into turn 1, had that pole position, but he's now down fighting for this 10th position. He's up the inside of Redgate. Can he make the corner this time around? It looks like he has done. Up ahead though, someone hasn't, and that is going to be Mollett. He's gone too wide. We're 3 wide momentarily as he drops down to P10.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, crazy stuff. You're absolutely right. This grid's been absolutely wild today. Something who has been wild is Crofton Woodhatch. He now leads by nearly 4 seconds at the moment. Harvey Jones has dragged his way back into contention for second position in this race, but second are points that Mark Fletcher could ill afford to lose. Big slide and big snap there from Coriolanus. You've got Ollie Stone ahead, still struggling for grip. Shoma Shintani's closing his way back in, 0.8 of a second, and we're on the penultimate lap of this race. So Shintani could drag his way through. If he finishes in 4th position, that'll be actually a pretty solid result for Shintani.
And I think that might happen. These two up ahead are wiggling around. Oh, that's too wide. That's too deep for Stone. Shintani might actually get through here as we come down the back straight in towards the Foxy S's. And unfortunately, that is 2 positions lost for Stone. So it's now down to Corey Lane to hold Shintani off. And in the background, Sikorsky, he's got past Smith. Can he get past Pollard? No. Contact is made. Pollard is going around here. He slides to the right-hand side of the track. And unfortunately, that's going to be raced down. He probably went into the wall. Oh, no, he saved it.
Well, the gravel trap. They're like proper gravel traps around here. And it's certainly stopped him. Shintani's gone for a big dive down the inside and has made contact, by the way, ahead of all of this. We'll come back to that in a moment because we've got this fantastic fight. Shintani, by the way, if we ride on board quickly, he's got front left wheel damage.
Oh, there must have been contact. Oh, that's huge damage. Huge contact. The wheel's gone. In fact, this is going to be big if he can't get it through this final lap and get the points. And even if he stays here, he's going to be dropping down the order. He's going to be so slow on this final lap.
He won't be able to do the old hairpin, I don't think. Like, there's no front left wheel, and you need that to get through the old hairpin. There he loses position to Hans Jakob Siversen-Moller and Franek Sikorsky. He's going to try and turn here, but he's going to go straight on and into the gravel trap. And he's only got 3 wheels on the wagon. He's going to stop in this gravel trap. There's surely no way he's going to get out of this one properly.
And Mollat's gone off as well. Mollat went off at the same time. Unrelated incident just up ahead. So that's two laps in the last 3 that he's gone off. We've also got Harvey Jones coming for Fletcher. This is important. This is a big points game for Fletcher. If he can hold ahead of Harvey Jones side by side, they go up towards McLean's final lap time. This is a big one for the 111.
Yep, indeed. Like I say, final lap of this race, and Mark Fletcher is battling for his championship and taking as many points as he can here. It would be a 4th and a 2nd. It would be solid points for him. Let's see what happened to Shomi Shintani, though. This is a move down the inside on Corioline. He's just too deep.
Yep, misses the apex. He went in slightly too fast. Corey Lane left him the space that was required, but Shintani, going to see, just doesn't make the apex. Was a little bit wide, and unfortunately, they were so close side by side. There was nothing that Lane could do. Up the inside for Jones, though, in towards the Melbourne hairpin. This could be big if he gets this into the braking zone.
Yeah, penultimate corner of the track, and there is the move to the inside. Mark Fletcher's going to try and stick it around the outside. Harvey Jones has the inside line, and the battle for 2nd position is going to be a drag race off as we take Helicam into the final corner, which already going through it is Crofton Woodhatch. Can Mark Fletcher hold Harvey Jones at bay? Onto the brakes, into the final corner they're going to go. It is going to be Fletcher hanging on, but it is going to be a 2nd consecutive victory for Crofton Woodhatch. He's gone back-to-back here and sweeps the round at Donington Park. Fletcher in 2nd, and then Harvey Jones in 3rd, and all of this chaos between Jonathan Smith and Franek Sikorsky for 6th position, allowing Mikey Pollard to come through in the 6th spot. Hans Jakob Siversen-Moller into 7th, and all of that fighting now down towards the back end of the top 10. Crazy scenes.
Oh my word, that was a clip to jump to. They somehow come across the line. Sikorsky will get 10th place. Sikorsky 9th, Smith in 10th place. What a crazy final lap we're gonna see here. So the door opens, Smith goes in. He just comes a tiny bit off the white line, then wheel-to-wheel contact, and the two just about stay in the race. And we definitely need a halo in that car. That would have been dangerous if that was in real life, and they rejoined the race. But even Lewis, for the battle that we saw with Jones and Fletcher, that is quite big. Shintani as well, unfortunately finishing down in 12th place at the end. That final lap had a lot of drama for this championship race.
That race had a lot of drama for this championship race. Crofton Woodhatch, Mark Fletcher and Harvey Jones, the top 3. The 3 drivers that we'll be catching up with in just a few moments' time. Ollie Stone in 4th spot, and then Corey Lane in 5th. Mike Pollard in 6th position with the 333 of Hans Jakob Siversen-Moller. Despite the drama, still finishing all right today. Ian Joyner there at 8th position with Franek Sikorsky and Jonathan Smith rounding out the top 10. The final few positions, and where we see the big drama in the championship, Brad Loudon having a bit of a dramatic day. 11th position for him. Shomi Shintani in 12th position, but obviously retiring from the race on the last lap. Joshua Bagembe and Sam Sanders, they're retiring from the race earlier on. What an absolutely interesting and enthralling round of action. Let's jump straight in to catching up with Crofton Woodhatch. Of course, taking the sweep here at the Donington Park Grand Prix round. You denied Shomi Shintani's winning streak in the first race of the evening. In this one, though, you made 3 positions in about 3 corners. There was, the move down to the old hairpin. There was a move around the outside going up through McLean's, and then getting past a slightly slower Mark Fletcher there on the Starkey straight. What an absolutely crazy lap and a crazy race for you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened on that lap. It was like I was driving in the dry. The move on. I was quite proud of the move on Shoma around the outside of the old hairpin. But no, I don't know what it was in that race. I felt like I had a lot of pace compared to the guys when the race first started. And then it was just getting in the clean air, and then you can push a little bit, and they started fighting a little bit behind. So that just opened the gap up.
Just like talk to us about how difficult it is to drive in the wet, because we saw a few people spinning going through Starkey's, obviously the corner directly after the old hairpin. A lot of people having like a snap spin, including Shoma Shintani, who had a spin there. We saw a few people having moments. Samson's had a moment, I think, directly ahead of you that you might have spotted through the race. How hard is it though to navigate the circuit in wet?
No, it's not as bad as what Snetterton was. I don't think there's not as much like water build up as Snetterton. But it's still quite tricky. You still got to know where you can put the car. In the practice, like the 10-minute practice before, it was not as wet as that as well. So we sat on the grid, and I was like, oh, this is a little bit wetter. And then you've got like adjust your brain then to know where you can drive. But no, I think I just managed to get that clean air, and then it was pretty much over from there.
Well, just like waiting for a bus, obviously you wait so long, and then two come at the same time. Literally you with race victories. Crofton, fantastic round here. Congratulations. Brilliant stuff. Double win.
Thank you.
There we go. Crofton Woodhatch on top in the Formula Fords. Back-to-back races here, taking the clean sweep, of course, here at Donington Park. Let's chat with Mark Fletcher, who had a pretty dramatic round himself, obviously dropping down there and losing out to the podium in the late stages of the first race, but grabbing a podium in this one in a race-long battle, basically, with Harvey Jones. It was fantastic stuff out there in what was extremely difficult conditions. Saw you struggle a little bit with a straight line speed, though, at one point. Was there some damage on the car?
Yeah, ever so slightly. It seems like we're starting to play a bit of bumper cars, we'll call it. But I don't. Yeah, interesting race. Really interesting race. At least we found out what Crofton's good at.
Yeah, Donington Park. Generally.
And wet weather driving. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Great to see Crofton winning, obviously, but he was running away from you in that race. Obviously just was able to clear off into the distance, obviously got past you on the straight. But, I mean, we've got to really focus about your battle with the championship lead, of course, now with Shoma Shintani, who retired from that race late on. How does that feel for you, obviously, seeing that, seeing the results that he's had recently, 4 consecutive victories, a second place to add into that as well in the first race today, but now finally you're outscoring him for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough couple of weeks. I'll be honest. It's you can put so much time into practice, but you're racing side by side for almost most of the laps. But yeah, it's not the way that you want to see it. He did really well in race number 1. I thought the move at the last hairpin was extremely daring. But I'm a percentage man. If I can't make the move stick, I'm just not going to go for it. I feel that I'm pretty patient, and now it's starting to work for me a little bit.
Is that going to change in the season finale? Are you going to stick to where you're at, to what you've been doing, to what's been working for you so far?
Yeah, I mean, I always play the championship game and stuff like this because it's you only have to look at sort of last year. You've always got to be up there. You've always got to be in the mix. Somehow I managed to get qualifying under my belt this week, which I had a round of applause for myself. But yeah, it's just going into the last round. It's obviously, of course, it's still all to play for. I've got to keep my nose clean, and the guys round me, they're all insanely quick. There's 5 of us every week. One mistake, one slowdown, and it's a completely different ball game.
There's only going to be a handful of points between yourself and Shoma in the season finale, which will obviously be in 1 week's time. Mark, I'm sure we'll be chatting with you around then. Best of luck, and we'll see you in a week.
Wonderful. Cheers, Lewis. Thanks, Ham.
There we go. Mark Fletcher onto the podium again. Final driver onto the podium. And this time, of course, it is Harvey Jones. After the dramas of race 1, back to it, and now onto the podium again. Fantastic stuff. I've got to have at least, calmed you down a little bit. I mean, it looks like a lot of fun out there, if very, very difficult.
Yeah, it was terrifying. I hadn't tested in the wet before this. This was my first laps in the wet. I had Dan and more in my ears telling me what's going to work, what's not going to work, and what's going to avoid. And I think that really got me through this race, because a lot of time I couldn't see a thing, and it was just, yeah, hold on and trust his word.
Cam actually pointed that out at one point. We were riding on board with you behind the top 3 and you couldn't see anything. Like, how hard is that to even think about making moves when you can literally, you can't even see the track in front of you?
Yeah, I think it's more just kind of react what happens ahead instead of just going for a move. I think you're more likely to make a move from someone overcommitting or hitting a puddle than trying to make a move and maybe shunting. So yeah, it's just kind of just react to what happens in front of you.
Yeah, indeed. Now, let's talk race 1 very briefly, because obviously you had a little bit of drama in there going through coppers. You had a good recovery drive from that point on. I mean, what's the mentality like trying to reset after an instant like that? And you know, when you've been a little bit flustered after it, but you seem to reset quite well. So what's the trick there?
Oh well, yeah, it was my own fault. I think I came to the realization of that quite fast. I should have just let that move go and waited. But at the time, I was annoyed with myself. But I just dropped the shoulders and carried on. I realized that I can still make something happen with this, and got the head down. And you just have to make every point that you can, especially with Showman not finishing race 2. I think that recovery drive would definitely help any chance in beating him in the championship.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for you in 1 week's time, Harvey. Great stuff, and nice to see you on the podium again.
Thank you very much.
And there we go. Our top 3, of course, from race 2 here in the Formula Forwards. Cam, brief summary. What an incredible round. Like you say, drama in the championship. Shomi Shintani out of that final race. Late on, after some drama, Mark Fletcher grabbing himself a podium. And a double victory for Crofton Woodhatch. Incredible scenes.
Yeah, those 2 races had everything, and it sets us up so nicely for a championship fight coming down into a Brands Hatch. So I can't wait to see what that's going to be, because, of course, Crofton has got nothing to lose. Is he going to get a double victory and spice it up once more?
Yeah, exactly. You can't miss anything, of course, here in the Formula Forwards, which will be back in 1 week's time. It's time, though, for us to have a little bit of a breather and focus on the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. The penultimate round will be coming up in just a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere.
Need expert support for your sim racing setup? SimRig Support has you covered. With over 2,000 hours of experience, our team excels in diagnosing and resolving issues swiftly. Submit a ticket for remote help, send us your hardware with a prepaid label, or book an on-site visit. We handle all major brands, from wheel to PC problems. Trust SimRig Support to keep you racing.
Well, there we go then. It is time for the penultimate race weekend of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. We are here in Donington Park, in what is a sunny Donington Park, of course, for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Should be a lot of fun, this one. We have got a lot to get through before we head into qualifying. Lewis McGlade, Cameron Roger alongside me in the commentary booth once again. Let's talk you through the format as always. Qualifying about to get underway. Then we'll go into the first of 2 20-minute races, the second of which has a random reverse grid between P5 and P15 that is based off of the position finishes from the first race result. So it's always dramatic, and it certainly was dramatic when we were racing north of the border last time out. They are playing for a lot of prizes, though. Again, you can read it here. The Drivers' Championship, obviously, that is an official British Championship, so you'll be invited to the Night of Champions, along with British Touring Car Champions, British GT. So it's a fantastic event, and like to see who's going to end up there in the near future. Of course, there are those big prizes in the teams as well. The Cup 100 experience for next year as well as hospitality tickets for British F4. Unfortunately, you might bump into me on a couple of rounds of that next year. Sorry about that. And then, of course, the base performance simulator for the champions, and then the prizes for second and third as well. Plenty more to talk through, though, before we get into the racing action today. The calendar, where we've been, where we are going. Brands Indy started out the season. Brands GP will be ending the season. We're in the final 3-race swing here. Knock Hill was just a week ago. Donington Park is where we're at, and Brands Hatch will follow up this 3-race week kind of end to the season, which has been very, very dramatic. It was dramatic north of the border, mostly courtesy of Henry Moore having a back of the grid, or rather was excluded from qualifying, courtesy of breaching penalty points in the previous round. He is right there at the top of the standings, though, 22 points clear of Graham Carroll. No drop scores in this one, and it really is those two fighting. Remy Gilbert, third position, really a little bit too far behind realistically. On to those further down. Matt Caruana, who's got a back of the grid drop for this one. Joseph Loke, Elias Riker, another one who's had some good form recently. Will Chadwick, Yoni Katala, and Gergo Baldi inside the top 10. Let's talk Teams Championship, because it is the Scuderia Ferrari HB Esports team. 24 points clear of Guild Esports. Very tight fight between those two, really closing up for the final couple of rounds of the season. Aston Martin and Aramco Esports just now ahead of Guild Academy, so Henry Moore, the lone driver to be scoring for the Guild Academy, still almost in contention for the team's prizes. He's plenty clear of the Mentor Racing driven by us, who Ronnie Smith, their driver for them, also has a back of the grid, or exclusion rather, from qualifying this round. G2 Esports only 1 point behind them. BS Competition, Freem UK by altitude with Williams, and then the Williams Academy, who are starting to turn things around on their 2024 program. So things are starting to look slightly better for them. But Cameron, Roger, we are in qualifying at the moment and already getting some of those first laps in.
Absolutely, and once again, they'll just be continuing on to do a couple of laps in a row. And let's see what the lap times are going to do with 6 minutes remaining. Here is Henry Moore as it stands, obviously leading the championship, but it is getting very close indeed. If he has a bad round here or there, we could be almost level-headed with Graham Carroll as we go into that final round. 4 races to go, still plenty of points on offer, but just how many will they get? Yeah, I mean, look, this is the crazy thing. To be fair, actually, do you know what the maximum points is that they can get from a round? Because I've not done any maths on that one. So, well, it's 45 for a win, and then you have the extra bonus point. So 46 times 2 is, what's that, 92? Yep. Times that by 2. There's 184 points left. Yeah, indeed. So at the end of the evening, if Henry Moore has a 92-point lead, he will win the championship. But realistically, having a 92-point lead over Graham Carroll, he'd have to have basically a perfect round, and Graham Carroll would have to have an absolute disaster, i.e. not happening. Not realistically anyway. We're on board with Henry Moore here, who's done a push lap, or rather, I think, I don't know if he's actually had he's just had an aborted attempt. Joseph Loke goes up onto provisional pole position, but they're all just setting their bank laps. As you can see how much work he's putting in to get the tyres into the operating window, and I think we should probably ride on board with our championship leader for this lap, Cam, and maybe you can guide us through. You guided us through the Formula Fords a little bit earlier on. Now let's see some real speed as Henry Moore, championship leader, will take us for a little ride around Donington Park. Yeah, this should be good fun. A lot more downforce on these cars, and let's see what Henry Moore is going to do as he comes across the line to start his lap. Down in towards Redgate, of course, such a fast corner, not really much of a braking zone in these cars. Still third gear as we work our way downhill. Look for some potential actually overtakes in towards the old hairpin if you want to dare make these moves, as we see him flick it to the right-hand side and then work our way back up the hill. Very, very little slowing down there, and it's a long run just looking at your delta, trying to work out what you're going to do into this braking zone, through the Schrontz curve, in towards the tricky braking zone of McLean's. You turn in so early, then it really tightens up and pinches you on the exit there. And now up in towards Coppice, of course, an important corner out onto the back straight. Use a lot of curb there, try not unsettle the car, and then just float it out to the left-hand side of the track. But he actually slows down as he's gonna do another warm-up lap, and he still hasn't set a time. So this is really going to be a one and done maybe at the end of the session. Yeah, which is pretty big drama. His first lap time didn't count courtesy of exceeding track limits. The second time, obviously, he was doing a warm-up. Third time's doing a warm as well. It's all going to come down to one final lap for the Formula 4 champion. There is the onboard from Elias Riker into the final section. You can see how fast it is. This is the big braking zone heading down to the Melbourne hairpin as Joel Hull moves up to 11th position. Actually had, he had his best qualifying, didn't he? Of course, a week ago at Knockhill did Hull, being up inside the top 10 comfortably, courtesy of the very, very tricky conditions in qualifying. Yeah, so it was a weird one, wasn't it, with how the track conditions were. But one thing I've noticed, Lewis, The tyres seem to be a big important factor today. A lot of warming up and extra warm-up laps going on. And with 3 minutes to go, we do have a very tight top three though. Loke is leading, but 300ths behind is both of the Ferrari cars, and still some fast drivers to still set laps, or at least representative laps in this session. It's going to be a fast final couple of laps in these final 3 minutes.
Yeah, if you are also trying to focus on the teams championship as well, like you say, Gergo Baldi, Graham Carroll, the two Ferraris up there. Remy Gilbert, of course, running at the moment in 7th position. Leo Brown for the other Guilds driver, 17th at the moment, but in the same position as Henry Moore, yet to set a representative lap time in this session with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. They only get 4 laps in this session, so they're basically all pretty much all on their last lap times of this session at this very moment, including champ leader Henry Moore, who's just going through Coppice now. We're seeing Elias Riker work his way through and at the moment down into the Fogger ES.
So Loke did slightly improve his lap time. There's now 700ths to Baldi and Carroll behind. Of course, he's got his teammate Conor Muir there as well, so this is looking good. Isaac Price for G2 though. He gets onto the front row, half a tenth off. Look how tight these top times are.
Here comes Graham Carroll. Is there any improvement from Carroll? No, there is not. It was a 27.5. So Graham Carroll's qualifying session is over his 4,000th of a second behind his teammate Gergo Baldi. Shout out to Gergo Baldi and to Conor Muir, by the way. Great qualifyings from the pair of those. Samuel Villa goes up into 11th position. Yoni Kattler goes up to 5th. And now comes the fast changes. Elias Riker will come across the line to set at 27.447. So not great from Riker. Here comes Henry Moore. 27.1. It's good enough to move his way comfortably up there. Leo Brown moves up into 5th position, which is instantly deposed by Henry Moore. That was an important lap late in the session for the title leader.
Absolutely, and the top 7 basically within 1/10, the top 8 within 2. As we see, Remy Gilbert, of course, won the first race back at Knockhill. What's he going to do as he comes across the line? Points, oh, that's going to be so close, but not quite enough for pole position, 300ths of a second behind.
Yeah, now it is really 6 drivers within 1/10 of a second. Obviously, Remy Gilbert had has had some really good results this season. He obviously started the season with a double podium and stuff, and we've seen some great results for him. But at the moment, 300 a second behind Joseph Loke, and with 50 seconds on the clock and his laps already all completed, no chance for him to improve. We're riding on board with Moreno Sarica. This will not be a lap time that will count towards the session because he's already done his 4 allotted laps, 2 of which were abusing track limits, which is very, again, in these cars especially, it's very easy to do around here.
Oh, definitely. And one thing I've noticed quite interesting is the grid is kind of split up by, even though it's, all fixed setup and everything this year, look at the teammates being paired up. You've got, obviously, you got the Aston Martin guys up there inside the top 10. You got the G2s, the Ferraris, the Guild cars, the extra Guild car of Henry Moore. Then you got the Williams cars in behind. You got the BS cars in behind that. It's all separated by the teams. So it seems like the teams are working out in some sort of pecking order as they work out this car over the season.
Indeed. Obviously, unfortunately, poor qualifying for Will Chadwick. He'll be right down the rear of the field. We'll not talk about that too much. Sorry, Will. There are 4 drivers that haven't qualified. Pablo Espez, Matt Caruana, Giuseppe Lafaro, and Ronnie Smith. All 4 of those excluded from qualifying for breaching basically points limits and stuff from the last round when it comes to incidents and stuff. So they will be starting from the rear of the field. Let's talk you through the field, though, as Joseph Loke will be starting from pole position. Great to see him up there. Remy Gilbert will be starting alongside on the front row for Guild Esports. Isaac Price in 3rd, with Gergo Baldi just ahead of his teammate by 4,000 a second in 4th for the Scuderia Ferrari HD Sports. Then it's championship battle on row 3. Graham Carroll leads Henry Moore, the top 2 in the championship. Leo Brown in 7th position, improving late on in the session. Yoni Kattler down to 8th. Conor Muir, great qualifying from him in 9th position, with Moreno Sarica just inside the top 10. Beckon Jasir in 11th position, with Will Murdoch in 12th, as we'll drop our way down to Elias Riker, just 13th position. Villa in 14th. Joel Hull in 15th position. Kulik in 16th, with Serge Fitzpatrick and Olivia Hayward 17th and 18th for the Prismatic team. Of course, Serge Fitzpatrick had a fantastic round north of the border. Saturday will start from 19th position with Will Chadwick down in 20th. Pablo Espez, the lone Williams Esports Academy driver here today, obviously not putting a time in that session. 21st, he'll start, with both Mentor Racing driven by us drivers, Matt Caruana and Ronnie Smith, starting either side of Giuseppe Lafaro. They're on the grid, though, for the first race of the evening. Cameron, Roger, you know what questions coming your way. Who's winning?
Impossible to predict. Impossible to predict. But Loke on pole, if he keeps it in the lead, I think he'd be my shout.
Who's outscoring who championship battle-wise, though?
I think Ferrari will still get the most points in this race. But let's see how it goes. There's a lot of battling to be done. It all depends if they can get ahead of Loke.
Yes, indeed. So they're all lining their way up onto the grid for the first race of the evening here in the British F4 Esports Championship. And it's going to be very, very difficult. Of course, there is just 4 races left to go in 2024, and the title race is being turned up to 11. Joseph Loke, will be starting from pole position as we go racing here at Donington Park. We are underway for the 13th race of the season. Already disappearing Isaac Price, having a bit of a problem there on the inside. He pops back in division. Great start from Joseph Loke, leading Remy Gilbert down into the first corner. And Gergo Bowdy's having to leave plenty of room for a car he doesn't even know that's there. Now he's got his teammate working to the inside of him as the Ferraris are going to go side by side through Hollywood, now down through the Craner curves. All blocking. To be fair, Henry Moore in the background. Isaac Price continuing to blink as they work onto the brakes and heading down to the old hairpin. There's a bit of a crash in the background, and there's a big crash there for Henry Moore. That's the championship leader, sent up in the air after contact with his title rival's teammate, and this drama has really been turned round. Henry Moore will be retiring from this race surely with that car.
So Bowdy effectively lets Carroll through the old hairpin, and then further contact by Henry Moore, and you can see that Moore is absolutely annoyed with that one. It's kind of typical and unfortunate that the teammates got involved with that one, and let's just see, of course, what is going to happen as we come down in towards the Foxy S's. In the background is now Leo Brown, who's trying to get some revenge. Almost further contact being made between those two.
Yeah, Gergo Bowdy was trying to be ultra defensive, but was outplayed by Leo Brown being aggressive, but now he's got a slowdown penalty, and Leo Brown's dropped right the way back through. Here comes the move for the inside. Yannick Catalan commits to it, and the Ferrari goes back up and underneath. So Gergo Bowdy will retake 5th position as already clearing off in the distance. Graham Carroll goes, and Carroll will be well aware as to that drama for Henry Moore, and so he'll be sat there. And to be fair, with Isaac Price's connection issues, I think he might sit a little bit further off the back of it and go, do you know what? I'm 4th position. I'm well outscoring him right now. Thank you very much.
So this is some big, big plays in terms of how the points work. If Graham Carroll stays in 4th place, that is 30 points. And of course, being 22 behind, that is obviously going to flip-flop in his favour. But then, of course, we have race 2 coming up. So big, swing in the championship. Let's have a look. So it goes up the inside. Oh, I want to see it from the other angle, because does he slide wide into Baldy's line as well?
It's really hard to see. I see it from up above, so you'll see the Ferrari out wide. It's not an easy one. I don't think he slides wide into Gergo Bowdy. I think they're 2 lines basically just meet. Oh, was that a bit of a bad rejoin from Moore, though?
Yeah, I think it might be. They might be looking into that one. Imagine coming into the final race with a back of the grid penalty. We'll have to see what the stewards decide on all of that as Leo Brown is coming back in. He's side by side with Catalan. He's actually got a bit of the slipstream, although Bowdy stops that one. And actually no defence there for Catalan. So Leo Brown is back up there. And this is really getting to the point of the championship where it's getting a bit tense. And we're going to see some interesting fights between these teammates. Let's have a look on board, though.
Yeah, so here we go. So obviously you can see Henry Moore just up there ahead. Henry Moore's not sliding out wide, but Gergo Bowdy's not moving all the way over to the side of the racetrack. That's kind of the important bit. So I'm not a steward. I'm not going to jump in and have an opinion on that one. I'm just telling you what's happened there. Henry Moore was definitely giving enough room. Gergo Bowdy was not moving further across. It's whether you feel that Gergo Bowdy has to move all the way over. This part isn't great because he does just accelerate straight into the 11 of Pablo Espes. So I think there might be a bit of a price to pay, unfortunately, for the 77, even on top of that huge drum, which sounds unfortunate, but that is what it is. If you have a bad rejoin, it is what it is. You know my opinion on bad rejoins, Cam? I've never had a bad rejoin in my sim racing career. No, definitely not. Not in this car, not in Interlagos. Not that one time that you'll remember probably immediately.
Yeah, definitely not the ideal situation, because you've got to keep cool. Even though you've spun out, don't ruin someone else's race. 2 things to note from that. Will Chadwick avoiding was quite impressive, and also Leo Brown avoiding Henry Moore there was absolutely insane. We still have Isaac Price blinking around in that 3rd place. That is certainly going to be putting off Graham Carroll, but he is sitting off, and he does have his teammates a little bit behind, so shouldn't be too worried about that. But just to note, Isaac Price having those issues, hopefully that settles down. It doesn't bring him out of the race a bit later.
I was going to say race control may have to do something about it, because I'm sure for Graham Carroll, he sat there being like, this is very distracting and very dangerous for Graham Carroll. And to be fair, obviously, for Remy Gilbert and for Joseph Lowe. Talking of Remy Gilbert's teammate, though, it's Leo Brown in the battle with, of course, Gergo Bowdy. Remember, this is the battle for the Constructors Challenge, for the Teams Challenge. It's not Constructors, they're not constructing anything. They're just driving, they're just teams. This is the battle for the Teams Challenge. With 24 points, Ferrari had a lead over Guild. And I think that weaving there from Graham Carroll is almost like it's a communication to race control. Do something about Isaac Price, because this is becoming a bit of a joke.
Oh, absolutely. And the issue of him now is that's going to be in the back of his head, isn't he? He's going to be thinking about that, which is not too ideal. As we get Leo Brown come onto the back. That's a good shout there from Race Control. Bit of a shame from the G2 car, because G2 are looking good, 2 cars up inside the top 7 at that time, but unfortunately they are losing one of their drivers in this race. So that puts Baldy up into 4th, and Leo Brown is trying to get past him here. Baldy is looking a little bit slower in this race than maybe he would have wanted. So Brown is all over the back of him and needs to try and find a clean way through.
I'm sure Graham Carroll will be a little bit frustrated, though, still with the fact that he's lost 2 seconds to that group, courtesy of having to give that car a little bit of space. But as you can see on the right-hand side, he might be a little bit happier to know that he's taken over the championship lead. If he finishes where he is, he'll be leading the championship by 12 points at the moment. The 21 there of Graham Carroll, the 77 of Henry Moore. Leo Brown, though, going on the attack at the moment to take over 4th position from Gergo Bowdy as the top 2 continue to remain very, very close. Joseph Loke, Remy Gilbert. I think Remy Gilbert's trying to hold position at the moment in the 2nd position at the moment, just to try and make sure that Graham Carroll doesn't rejoin that fight. Meanwhile, Gergo Bowdy and Leo Brown very tight on the fight for 4th.
Yeah, this is changing very quickly, because also with how the point structure is, yeah, definitely quite a big jump with the places up towards the front. There's a big dive there to the inside for Leo Brown. Tries to get the move in towards Redgate. Can't quite make it through as the clouds come over. It gets very dark out on the track. Temperature's cooling down, but it's heating up here for 5th place.
Yeah, just want to note, by the way, so as much as I said he was removed, to clarify, as you were kind of saying there, good move from Race Control. It is unfortunate, but Isaac Price removed from the race for the connection issues. I'm sure Race Control, like, they were messaging G2 and Isaac, trying to remain in communication to try and be like, look, can you try and fix this? Can you try and fix this? He's not been able to fix it within the required time, and thus has been removed from the race. Big slide there, and a big moment as Gergo Bowdy's going to go out wide. It's going to cost him a couple of positions, because straight through comes Johnny Cattler and Will Murdoch. Murdoch to the inside line, goes from 12 now up into 5th position in the opening 6.5 minutes of this first race of the evening. So great drive thus far from the BS competition driver.
Yeah, but for Leo Brown, definitely sent up the inside of McLean's there. Bowdy's sent out wide and has now lost 3 places in that move. He still looks fairly calm at this point, though, but that is important for the championship, because now Guild will be getting more points than Ferrari at this point of the race if they finish like this. So definitely it's tense moments, and that is why they are fighting so hard. Just to reiterate, it's 24 points between Ferrari and Guild Esports in the teams.
Yeah, like I say, it's all very, very exciting stuff. I mean, we were saying this a lot about the British F4 Esports Championship time and time again, how there's always a wrench to throw into the mix. And with this retirement, unfortunately for Henry Walls, it's very sad for him. It's really blown this championship wide open. There's confirmation of the team standings, closing down to just 9 points with 3 races left to go. Oh, Cam, we're going to have an absolutely crazy finale in a week's time if this keeps up.
We certainly are, and I can't wait for it, to be honest. But things can change very quickly, and of course Henry Moore not going to be getting many points, if any, in this race. But the important factor is he's then going to have to start there again in the 2nd race, because he's not going to get back inside the top 15 to have that chance of moving to the front like he did in Knockhill. So very tough time indeed as we come on board with Beckham Jasir, driver we haven't seen so much this season. Williams have been struggling compared to where they were last year, but he's up inside top 8 at this moment in time, and he's just following Bowdy for the moment, but he has the potential really to get Brown there in P4 if he works his way through.
And he's got his teammate behind him, Moreno Sharika, also, so things are all right for Williams at the moment. I will say for the race lead, Graham Carroll is closing his way back in. Will Chadwick, I think, might have had a bit of a slide there behind Samuele Villa. A bit of a smile there on the face, of course, of Beckham Jasir as well. This is back up to the race lead. Joseph Loke is leading. We are approaching the halfway point of the race, and I'm sure one thing that will be a talking point for this round, tyre conservation. I think there will be a bit of tyre wear around here. It's not. It's relatively middling when it comes to the tyre wear. With the speed, it can be a little bit quick around here. Weather-wise, at the moment, the track temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty decent, but it will wear the tyres out for the second half of the race if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, we have seen obviously drivers wiggling around a bit. I think the thing is we have such long corners here. They're fairly medium speed as well. So you've really got to have that trust on the rear end as they both go just a little bit wide there through McLaren's. And of course, this was an important factor for Aston Martin, who jumped up into 3rd place in the team's championship ahead of Guild Academy, which is effectively just Henry Moore. So they should be good with that because they got a bit of a gap to Mensa in behind. So Joseph Lowe, I don't think is really going to be worried too much about that. They are looking good for 3rd place, but of course he still wants to get that race victory and stop Remy Gilbert getting a 2nd one in 3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gilbert's been pretty solid, and like I say, realistically for the Guild Esports team, things are looking good for them in the team's champ to be throwing their way back into the mix. Beckham just here then makes a move to the inside line of Gogo Bowdy, and things get better for Guild Esports as that move from the Williams Esports driver costs Ferrari some more points. Here comes a look to the outside from Moreno Sirica as well. The 2 Williams drivers trying to get through on the same lap, and of course Beckham just here will pass off the slipstream to his teammate as we head back onto the Wheatcroft straight, the start-finish straight, past the pit lane, past the media zone, and down towards turn 1. The inside look coming in from Moreno Sirica as he's trying to complete the move on Gogo Bowdy, and he will complete the move. So Bowdy drops from 7th down to 9th in a couple of corners.
This is an interesting one from Bowdy, who's really on the paces. The 93 of Villa has gone around from a strong position, and it's going to be dropping down even outside the top 15, so no reverse grid if they can't get back up there. So definitely an interesting situation. They'll have to see how that one happened as we go back to Leo Brown, who always he tagged. He was tagged by one of the 3M UK cars. Was that Will Chadwick maybe in 10th place?
Yeah, will indeed have been Chadwick, by the way, as there you go, you can see it just there at T1 at Redgate, so I'm pretty sure Chadders won't be getting away with that one. I do believe, by the way, the fastest lap has been set in the hands of Graham Carroll on the previous lap, because he's got up to 400 points rather than 399. So the gap goes out to 23 points in the champ lead, and he's closing his way up, importantly, on the top 2. We look back, though, at the fight for Leo Brown, Will Murdoch, Johnny Cattler, Beckham Jasir, Moreno Sirica, and Gogo Bowdy, all fighting 4th through 9th.
Yeah, what a swing in the points. From being 20 behind to being 20 ahead. That is a big incident there from Henry Moore. And could it be championship deciding? We will obviously have to find out. Still 3.5 races to go. A lot of racing indeed. But one thing I was surprised about Leo Brown here is he got to the front of this group. I thought he was going to pull away, but he's really not doing too much. And Graham Carroll has easily a gap up ahead. He can just chill to a podium, and Leo Brown's got all of the work to do to try and keep these points for Guild.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, Leo Brown at the moment is doing all he can do. He's 4th position. There's no way he's going to be gaining anything more. So for Guild, he's doing what he can. Sammy Alivilla having a bit of a moment there, running through the fog at ES. I think the car is not in an ideal state for him, unfortunately, after that contact with Will Chadwick. It spun around very quickly, I'll be in that curve. But like I say, Leo Brown's focus is just hang on to 4th position right now, help the team out as much as possible. But to be fair, I mean, if he drops back a few positions, whilst it sounds bad, he's going to be increasing his position for the reverse grid race. I'm not saying he should drop back, but I'd say that it's not all bad news. Yeah, every cloud has a silver lining and all that.
Certainly does, and especially with the potential for a top 15 reverse, that is always a scary one. If we get some of those numbers over 10, that starts to be quite a lot of drivers and quite a lot of chaos potentially in this second race, as we see Matt Caruana, who of course was up there in the championship but unfortunately missed a round or 2 and is now a little bit further behind, but he's in 11th place now as he gets Kulik in the Alpine.
And to be fair, both the mentor-driven by us drivers, both Matt Caruana and Ronnie Smith, have worked their way quite nicely through the field after both of them having to start from the rear after being naughty boys up in Knock Hill. The pair of them dragging their way through, up 11 positions apiece, the pair of them. 11th for Caruana, 13th for Ronnie Smith. Most positions gained of any drivers on this grid thus far. Will Chadwick up 10 as well after the contact, though, with Villa. I think he might have a little bit to answer in that department as we keep our eye on the battle for the race lead. Joseph Lowe keeping Remy Gilbert at bay. I'd say battle for the race lead. I don't actually necessarily classify, oh my goodness, classify this as a battle, because at the moment I wouldn't say Remy Gilbert's trying to get through. I think he's content with second for now. We've got 6 minutes left to go in the race. That is going to change.
Yes, they're not exactly engaging in any real opportunities to swap positions at this moment in time. And Remy, I mean, he looks pretty calm, doesn't he? He doesn't look like he's tensed up trying to make a move at this point. Maybe he can't, who knows? But we'll find out certainly in the final few laps when the opportunities dwindle. And I'm sure he'll take at least one opportunity to try and get through. But Graham Carroll is also not really too far behind. He's just hanging around there, sort of on the edge of the slipstream, and just waiting to see what he can do. Can he gain some more points on Henry Moore?
I mean, look, if this is the kind of thing that Remy Gilbert's got to be really thinking about now. Thinking of the amount of things that will be going on in not only his head, but of course, those that are engineering, the Seb Hawkins team manager. What do you do in this scenario? Do you attack Joseph Loke, right, and try and gain the extra points in the championship for the team's championship? But what that could do is it could open the door for Graham Carroll to rejoin this fight, which will lose you out more points to Ferrari, and it will cost Henry Moore more points in the Drivers' Championship. I'm not saying that Remy Gilbert's not going to go for the move. I think he's probably going to have to leave it to the last lap to give Graham Carroll as little chance as possible of joining this lead battle.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. It doesn't actually necessarily benefit him or the team more to get the win, at least at this point in the race, which is quite a fun one when you get to those situations where you actually have to hold your position. But I guess he's going to go for it at some point. He has to, and especially after getting that win last time out in the first race, he's going to want to do something about that and try and obviously get another race victory. And I was just trying to see who actually finished in second place. Yeah, it was Joseph Loke that he battled for the victory that time around. So, and also Graham Carroll got on the podium. So it's the same top three as we saw in race 1 in Knockhill.
Yes, indeed. Will say fastest lap, I believe, has been stolen from Graham Carroll because he's lost out the championship by that extra point. So he's lost the fastest lap of the race. Not actually 100% sure as to who's grabbed it, to be perfectly honest, but it's not in the hands of Graham Carroll. That's the important. But there you go. Bonus point goes to Joseph Loke at the moment, our race leader.
That's quite something. That's why these top three are pulled away by some 6 seconds now to Leo Brown. They are just the pace of the field, and they really are showing it. It was so close in qualifying, but it hasn't quite translated to the race, and maybe Brown is being a little bit of a bottleneck. Maybe the likes of Murdoch, who actually is having a really good race up in there in P5, isn't he? P4 potential. Maybe they would have had a little bit more space. Catalyst sitting in behind them, really struggling to get through. But talking of struggling is Leo Brown. We saw that big snap he had half a lap ago. Is this going to finally open up the door to Will Murdoch?
Yeah, potentially. Murdoch might be able to find his way through. He's closing up. He's 0.2 of a second behind as we head into the fog at ES. If he doesn't commit to anything, Yanni Cattler might find his way through as we work our way down into the Melbourne airport. But it could be a little bit deep there from Leo Brown. It could have opened up the opportunity, but once again, just not there. The average speed a little bit too high in the Formula 4s, for the Formula 4s and the British Formula 4s, rather, to get on after it at the moment. I'll tell you, though, in race 2, especially if we have a big number 10 and above, the race is going to be absolute chaos.
I mean, it already was with a normal grid, so yeah, you're right. It's going to be quite something, and I can't really wait for that. But of course, we see how this race is going to finish and what positions they are going to be in. Will Murdoch is getting so close now. He's definitely being held up by Leo Brown, but he needs to find a way through. It's such a high-speed circuit. Just a few opportunities. Is Leo Brown going to make another mistake that might open up the door, open up an opportunity? As Ronnie Smith comes down pit road from 14th place after having a strong run in the opening half of this race.
Yeah, he's been having a decent race, but unfortunately for Ronnie Smith, I say it's basically come to an end in that one. And so he'll be dropping right the way down the order, which obviously hurt his second race as well, because that's just where he's starting in the second one. Look at that, though, on the right-hand side of your screen. After 13 races of action, if everything finishes as it is, just 6 points separate the top 2 in the team's championship, heading into the final 3 races of the season. Going to be absolutely incredible. A thrilling fight, I am sure. Gogo Bowdy could gain a few positions here, and it would be important points for the team. Graham Carroll, though, could be gaining a few points. which would be important not only for the team, but also for his Drivers' Championship as well. Less than 1 second separate the top three as we get ready to start the final lap of the race. Down to the final corner, they're all going to go. Joseph Loke continues to lead. Remy Gilbert and Graham Carroll in there. You saw the battle between Leo Brown, Will Murdoch, Yannick Cattler, Moreno, Sarika, Beck and Jasir, and Gogo Baldi. White flags in the air. Is there going to be a move for the race lead now? Joseph Loke takes the defensive line as a red gate, and Remy Gilbert's going to commit to a move. We said he was going to leave until the last lap of the race, and he is trying to attack now as the bonus point has gone back to Graham Carroll, but it's been robbed by Moreno Sarika.
Yeah, some pace coming for the Williams team. That is what we like to see. 45 seconds to go in this race. Where is Gilbert going to find his way through? They haven't gone side by side at all in this race, so they don't have a vibe of where they can really work it, where they're going to break later. Remy Gilbert's got to be one and done in this final lap as the seconds count down. The opportunities do as well. Carroll's not really a threat in behind. It is a 1v1 with just a couple of braking zones to go.
Yeah, exactly. I think Remy Gilbert's played his cards really, really well here because he can go for the race victory without really bringing Graham Carroll in, who's been pushing as hard as he possibly can to drag down that deficit that was created after obviously having Isaac Price between them, causing the connection issue, which is what dropped Graham Carroll off of the battle for the victory. At the moment, though, he's throwing everything at this. Big, deep through the fog ES from Joseph Loke. Remy Gilbert's close. Could he go for it?
Around the outside is going to have to be. This might open up the door to the inside of the final corner. Loke's covered that one off, though. So where it's going to be, it's going to have to be a big send.
There's going to have to be an almighty send, and I can see behind all this Graham Carroll's keeping a watching eye. There comes a big move to the inside from Remy Gilbert as he fires it down. There's corner between them, and coming through all of that is going to be Graham Carroll, who's opened the door. He's picked the lock. He's taken the championship lead, and Graham Carroll will cross the line as the race winner here at Donington. And look at what that means to him. Remy Gilbert, far too aggressive into the final corner, opens the door with Joseph Loke. We might have fisticuffs in the interview booth here, Cam.
And that was not what Guild Esports wanted. Not only do they lose more points because he obviously didn't get the win from that, but now there's even more points towards Ferrari and the teams and away from Henry Moore. So that was a bad move, both from the drivers and team's perspective. Let's see, this is a huge flick to the left-hand side. I mean, he always goes 45 degrees. Joseph Loke doesn't quite leave enough space either, so I'm not sure how that's going to be seen. But either way, in the end, it really cost Gilbert and his team.
I mean, I will say the audacity to even try that from Remy Gilbert, I actually respect wholeheartedly. That was absolutely wild. To give that one a go. There you go. You can see how aggressive it is. But from Graham Carroll's point of view, that is as predictable as it gets. And Graham Carroll sees it brilliantly and comes through to take his first victory since Brands Indy at the start of this season. Absolutely wild, Cam.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, on second view, actually, I do give some credit to Remy. I was being a little bit negative when I first saw it, but he timed that to perfection. The millisecond that Loke came back to the right-hand side of the track is also the millisecond that he sent it to the inside. So perfect opportunity, perfect timing. And in the end, I guess he still ends up in second place. So, yeah, fair's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, crazy scenes. You love to see it. Let's talk reverse grid, though, and what number we're going to get for the reverse grid. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be 12. 12 drivers will get reversed for the second race this evening. Graham Carroll, though, takes victory. We'll catch up with him in a moment. He's able to beat out Remy Gilbert across the line for Guild Esports. And unfortunately, I think there has been a big moment. Obviously, I think there was penalty points as well for Joseph Loke. We'll talk about that in a second because it's promoted Remy Gilbert and Leo Brown onto the podium. So we'll catch up with those two in just a second. With Will Murdoch there in fourth, Moreno Sarika in fifth, Yannick Cattler there in sixth, Beck and Jasir, Gogo Baldi, Will Chadwick, and Matt Caruana does make his way inside the top 10. Moreno Sarika securing the point for the fastest lap as well. Giuseppe Lafaro in 11th position with Serge Fitzpatrick, Connor Muir, Olivia Hayward, and then Ronnie Smith. Joseph Loke, he must have got a drive-through penalty for instant point limits after that contact between himself and Remy Gilbert, the final corner, which obviously he couldn't serve, so it's been added as a time penalty and has dropped him down to 16th position. At least that's what I believe has happened there. Jamin Kulik will finish 17th position, and the last driver on the lead lap, his teammate Sachulek, will retire from the race. Villa also retiring. Isaac Price getting kicked for connection issues, and then the big drama back here. Elias Riker, Joel Hull, Pablo Espez all retiring on the first lap. Henry Moore, though, came into it as the championship leader, and it has now been relinquished. It's been relinquished, though, to this driver here. Let's talk to Graham Carroll, our new championship leader in the British F4 Esports Championship. But not only that, winning the race at the final corner through just watching absolute chaos ahead of you. I mean, you looked pumped crossing the line.
It was a really disappointment from quali, right? I went through the chicane and I was like 2.5-3 tenths up on my 0.1, right? So it should have been an easy pole position, but I made a mistake and I came out the last corner and punched my steering wheel and it put the pit limiter on. So here we are. But anyway, listen, it worked out. I see there was a bit of contact and stuff on the first lap, so I couldn't get any closer to the front three because Isaac's car was flying all over the place. So I didn't want to be wrecked out of a race by a bit of lag or latency like that. So I just took it easy. And then, yeah, try to close down Joseph and Remy at the end. Like, I know Joseph's a quick guy, right? So just slowly but surely catching, and then, yeah, the pair of them had a wee moment. I really didn't think Remy would go for it, thinking about like the teams and stuff for the constructors, but I'm glad he did in the end, so really happy.
Yeah, obviously it opened up the door for you to move up. Yeah, obviously you're already moving up to the championship lead, but now you're going to be leading it by 23 points. Just 3 races left to go. Obviously Henry Moore's going to have to be starting at the rear of the next one. I'm assuming still you're going to be focusing on where he is in the next race and how he's moving through to kind of like judge as to how much risk, or are you just kind of going to shut that off and focus on you?
I'm just going to race him a race all the time, right? I go out there to try and finish every single race, and now that I'm championship leader, I need to finish, right? So if I maybe need to let a car here or there go, I will, but I've been doing that all season to finish anyway, so the main thing is to finish, and this is what I've been waiting for all season, so I'm going to take my chance and hopefully hold on to this lead.
Yeah, indeed. There's not long left to go in the season. It's great to see you winning a race. I mean, talk to us about that winning feeling very quickly before we let you have a breather before race 2. It's been a while since we've seen you winning here in the British F4 Esports Championship, obviously in the second race of the season, but back to winning form. Is this going to open the floodgates?
Well, I think after Silverstone was quite a disappointing race. Like up until there, I think I was on sort of 4 podiums in a row. That was quite rough. Now two not kill podiums. I win here. It's what I want to be doing, right? It's podiums, winning. But like to get a win after the two of them take each other out like that when I didn't expect it, it's just such a good feeling, and into the championship lead. So awesome moment, and hopefully many more to come.
Well, Graham, good luck. You'll be starting the next race from 12th position after 12th been drawn in the reverse grid. Best of luck in that one. Keep fingers crossed.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
There we go. Graham Carroll on top here at Donington Park. Fantastic to see. Lovely stuff. Let's catch up, though, with one of the drivers that he was trying to catch up with in that race. It's Remy Gilbert, who was able to come through. He was running in second position all the way through. Last corner, went for a big send on Joseph Loke. Didn't lock up, got it down there, but obviously there was contact between the pair of you. What's your view on that incident?
Well, I saw the space and I went for it. I felt like I was fully alongside going into the corner, and yeah, I guess I'm entitled to the space. I mean, he turns in, there's a little bit of netcode, so yeah, I just have to see how it turns out, I guess, but I tried.
Exactly, you did try. I mean, it's tough racing out there. It's quite hard to find an opportunity around Donington Park at the best of time. But obviously, you were behind Joseph basically all the way through the race. Was most of that about just being patient all the way through? Because slipstream's quite decent around here, right?
Yeah, well, the last thing I wanted to do was let Graham catch up, but just because of the team's championship and stuff. But I'm guessing we maybe gained some points on them, but yeah, still another race to go, so we've got to keep our heads up.
I believe it's 15 points between you and Ferrari in the team's championship. Is that your main focus here, or are you kind of focused on also trying to help out? It is indeed 15 points, by the way, that you're behind Ferrari. Is that the main focus, though, or are you kind of also trying to help Henry with the Henry and Graham battle in the Drivers' Championship, or is that kind of just a secondary thing? It's mostly focused on the teams.
I mean, there's only really so much I can do to help Henry. I think probably the main focus is just to try and get the team's championship done. Just, consistent results for me and Leo, and then, helping Henry is a sort of secondary thing.
Perfect. Well, Remy, thank you so much. Congratulations on a podium. Wasn't quite a victory like we had at Knockout, but still looking good.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And there we go. Not the only Guild esports driver there that we'll be catching up with. Of course, we do have Remy Gilbert's teammate there in Leo Brown to be catching up with. Brilliant stuff from Leo Brown to have kept the likes of Will Murdoch, Moreno, Sariki, Oni Cataleb, all that lot at bay throughout that race. It was a crazy battle for you, and suddenly you've come out not in 4th position, but on the podium. Weren't expecting that, were you?
Yeah, I didn't know until about 2 minutes ago, to be honest, until I frantically checked the result. But no, it was okay. Obviously, the toe was broken in front of me, so I was in no man's land pretty much the whole race. So I was happy with my pace in clean air. I was able to keep everyone behind and didn't really have to defend. So yeah, hopefully looking good for race 2.
Yeah, now obviously the reverse grid number is 12, so you'll be starting from 10th position, which is, you know, it's not ideal, but with how the battling's happening this, you've obviously had your fair share of battling already in that race. Are you confident in being able to move your way through the field?
Yeah, for sure. I think I started 9th last week at Knockhill in the reverse and ended up on the podium again, so hopefully more of the same.
Do you quite like Donington Park? Is it a circuit that kind of works well for you? Obviously, grabbing a podium round here is a good flow round here, or is it not one that you're thrilled to race at?
Yeah, it's just I'm sort of content with it. To be honest, I haven't done a whole lot regarding other championships here, so I had to do a bit more prep for this one. But no, nevertheless, I'm very happy with the podium. I'm very happy with my pace. So yeah, it might be a bit higher at my pecking order now.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for you. 15 points at the moment behind Ferrari. See what's going to happen in race 2 this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
And there we go, Leo Brown there. Obviously onto the podium, and Cam, very last minute. I mean, absolutely crazy. Lovely to see though.
Yeah, that was quite something. And not only to add to the drama with the crash, but then the time penalty for Joseph Loke as well. That's such a big shame. I mean, he led the race. He was comfortable. He had it all sorted. And then just in literally the final 3 corners, really, he made a little bit of a mistake into the Foxy S's, which is really what gave Remy that opportunity down in towards the hairpin. So it's a big shame for him. But at the end of the day, he also was very harsh on his defense into that final corner. So he did really, push Remy to the inside.
Yeah, it was like a very abrupt defense. Let's put it that way. Remy was super aggressive. I mean, it was 2 aggressive actions which kind of sparked this incident that allowed Graham Carroll to come through. And great to hear Graham Carroll, and great to see the emotion across the line, isn't it? I love seeing a driver where they're absolutely pumped. I don't like it when I get it, because it's kind of like, oh yeah, fair enough. When you see a driver across the line, it's like, you all right? There's a win. Oh. So this win's a big moment. Like, you're excited. I just love seeing a driver when they're absolutely pumped.
Yeah, it's good though. I mean, about what was that, 150, 200 meters before the end of the race, he was in 3rd place thinking, oh yeah, okay, I'll take those points. But instead, he gained quite a lot. And also, it's not just the positions, but the difference between 1st and 3rd place is 11 points. So 45 for the win, 34 for 3rd place. There's a lot of points he gained just in that one move from Remy.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, look, I'm super excited for this second race. I will say Sergio Fitzpatrick is going to be starting from the reverse grid pole. I will say, I think
do something if he's able to basically just get straight back into that race lead and into that fight at the top.
Yeah, indeed. Now, if you did lose us for a second there, we are back in action. Hopefully you can all hear us and we're all good to go. We've just been waffling on just in case at the moment, and getting ourselves ready for what will be the 3rd to last race of the season, race 14 of the 2024 season of the British F4 Esports Championship. We're coming up in just a moment's time. We've got a couple of minutes left to go, a minute and a bit left to go of this practice session. As you can see, it's lovely dry conditions, Cam, which after the dramas weather-wise of Knockhill, I think some of the drivers will be relieved to know it's dry for the second race.
That doesn't mean there's not going to be any carnage and chaos, though. But for sure, that lowers the chances of that. So this is, of course, the reverse grid race. The order gets shuffled up a bit. You have some faster drivers in the mid-pack pushing towards the front. It often causes a bit of a bottleneck in the first couple of laps until they can find their way through. It's going to be a very tricky first lap here in this session. I do believe we're going to see another interesting incident today that has another swing in this championship. I don't think it's going to be a normal plain and sailing race.
The swings aren't done. Cameron Roger, 2024. I mean, potentially, Henry Moore's obviously going to be starting from a very dangerous position in this race, but then Graham Carroll's starting from 12th. That is right in the mid-pack. That is super awkward heading down the hill into the old hairpin. So it's not exactly plain sailing for the Scotsman as well. So, something like that could really open up the championship.
Indeed, and it all just depends what people do in front of you. If someone makes a mistake, you just got to react. And you saw what happened with Henry Moore when he went spinning. A couple of other cars were involved in that. And if you're just wrong place, wrong time, unfortunately, that's how it goes sometimes. And that is a little bit of the luck of the draw, I guess, with the reverse grid number, because if it was 5, it'd be a much, much easier task. But with being 12, Carroll's got to also make sure that he obviously eventually stays ahead of Henry Moore, but he needs to try and avoid, where possible, getting in some silly incidents.
I think survival is the key part, and I think Graham Carroll played it well in his interview. I'm just going to run this race as I normally run a race and not think about anything like that, because if you do, that's where you get in trouble. I think that is the right mentality to deal with. They're all getting themselves ready, and I'll quickly run ourselves through the grid, because of course it will be Sergio Fitzpatrick starting this one from the reverse grid pole position. Giuseppe Lafaro starting from second with Matt Caruana and Will Chadwick. Gogo Bowley and Beckham Jasir in 6th position at the moment. 7th position will be Yoni Kattler, and Moreno Sirica will be starting alongside on the 4th row of the grid. Then we'll have Will Murdoch and Leo Brown. 11th and 12th will be Remy Gilbert and Graham Carroll after the switch on the final lap in the previous race. 13th position will be Connor Muir, dropping back down the order, unfortunately, with Olivia Hayward in 14th position. Ronnie Smith will be starting from 15th, with Joseph Loke dropping back 16th position. Then it'll be Simon Kulik and Peter Stachlek starting from 18th spot. The final 3 rows of the grid will see the likes of Samuele Villa, Isaac Price, Henry Moore, the driver who was leading the championship coming into this, Elias Riker, Joel Hull, and Pablo Espes starting from the rear of the field. The green flag's about to be waved and the race is about to get underway. The penultimate reverse grid race of 2024 is go, and already Will Chadwick trying to cover off Gogo Bowley, making a little bit of contact with the Hungarian on the race down to the first corner. Straight around the outside goes Giuseppe Lafaro, trying to get past Serge Fitzpatrick. There's contact between those two, and here comes through Matt Caruana, dragging Will Chadwick with him as they head their way through Hollywood. And then now down the Craner curves, it's Matt Caruana leading from Will Chadwick, then from Serge Fitzpatrick, who's going side by side with the Ferrari of Gogo Bowley. He's going to squeeze his way through. Gogo Bowley then up to 4th position, and already plenty of moves behind, but no major drama at the moment, Cam.
Yeah, I was just trying to look further back. Is there going to be any crashes into the old hairpin? Not this time around. It looks like we're all good up towards McLean's, and we are seeing a little bit further back. Of course, the likes of Graham Carroll, he stayed in that 12th place. Joseph Loke is up into 14th after making a move or two. Actually, I say that though, Sirica might be coming back at him as he comes through Coppice, and this is a couple of the drivers to look out for, who of course was so fast, but just had some unfortunate incidents towards the end of that first race. Down towards the chicane though, side by side we go, and it's going to be Loke on the inside line. Sirica has to back out.
Yeah, Graham Carroll's lost out to Connor Muir, the Aston Martin driver at the moment, working his way through, but I think he's going to try and make a move with the Ferrari. There goes Serge Fitzpatrick, too deep though into the hairpin. He's going to rejoin here as you've got Will Murdoch working his way past Remy Gilbert, also Leo Brown, also for the Guild Esports team. And there's big contact with Henry Moore, and I think that might have been Villa. Villa's been sent straight into the barrier. I think it was rear wheel to rear wheel contact there off the hairpin.
Oh my word, that was a heavy, heavy hit, as we've seen Fitzpatrick side by side with Brown down towards Redgate. And of course, look who's in behind. Graham Carroll's watching on. Is there going to be opportunity to dive up the inside and follow through? I don't think so. There's a bit of contact actually. Carroll's going to have to go out wide to avoid that one, and he's now going to have to go down the hill side by side. This is going to be tricky. Fitzpatrick on the right hand side of the track. Graham Carroll's going to be on the outside of the old hairpin. How ballsy does he want to be? It looks like he does so. He's going to try and follow through Leo Brown, and that is a big move up into 10th place.
That's huge for Graham Carroll. Ronnie Smith coming through as well, side by side between Serge Fitzpatrick and Connor Muir as well, as we head now into the Schwantz curve and flick it through the right hand at McLean's. Will say you can see behind all this, you've got Henry Moore right at the rear end of this little train, and he's got some damage on his front wing. Big send to the inside from Moreno Sirica to get past Muir to the 69, getting past the 64, heading through Coppice. At the moment though, it's still with Matt Caruana leading by a quarter of a second. Will Chadwick in 2nd place, Gogo Bowley in 3rd, Beckham Jasir at the moment hanging on to 4th position with Giuseppe Lafaro and Yoni Kattler. Then Will Murdoch, Remy Gilbert, Leo Brown, Graham Carroll in a big moment as well though, skipping across the chicane.
Absolutely. So the 3MU car there, Joe Hull has stopped. Must have had a sliding incident there in towards the Foxy S's. Gilbert got Murdoch for P7 as we came through the hairpin, so he's making good progress from his 11th place starting position. Of course, he's now got a couple of cars in between him and Graham Carroll. So look at those Guild cars and then the 2 red Ferraris. They are in a championship battle as Gogo Bowley gets an extra point there, up in 3rd place for the fastest lap.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, there is the spin for Hull. Obviously going through the chicane there, but Easily done when you're battling out that hard, and you got drivers left, right and centre on you. As we all look a little bit further up the order, Gogo Bowdy trying to keep Beckham Jasir at bay. You've got Giuseppe Lafaro off the rear end of this, and we've seen Lafaro's teammate Villa enter the barrier courtesy of a little bit of a whack from Henry Moore, who at the moment has only worked his way up to 17th position. He's still a fair few positions behind Graham Carroll. This is what happened to Villa. Enter Henry Moore, and that was the kind of, I thought it was rear wheel to rear wheel. Moore comes in and obviously slaps the front right wheel, but Villa was kind of well offline at that point.
What can Moore do today? you know, I was talking earlier about wrong place, wrong time, and that kind of was the situation. It just so happened to be that Villa was running wide and rejoined at the exact point that Henry Moore was there. But he's down in 16th place and needs to try and recover some points. At the moment, just 6 places behind his championship rival of Graham Carroll, who's up there in 10th place as it stands. But what a train we have here at the front in this reverse grid. As it stands, though, it is 33 points to Graham Carroll's advantage. It's 45 for a race win.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, it's a big advantage. Graham Carroll's pulling out, heading into the season finale, where I think it'll be full send Henry Moore at the season finale at West Kingsdown. I mean, it's still going to be full send from Henry Moore at the moment. This has worked his way past Pablo Espes, so he's worked his way into 16th position. Now he's got 1.5 seconds up. There is a bit of a moment there. Gogo Bowdy going out wide. Beckham just is involved in all that as well. I mean, that gap's 34 points, fair enough. It's not over yet, though. That is going to change very, very quickly. It's 34 points courtesy of Graham Carroll getting the fastest lap, so getting the bonus point for it.
Indeed, and he's right on the back of this train, to be honest. I don't think, looking at how everyone's been driving today, I don't think it's going to be a clean train procession to the end of this race. Things are going to happen, and it's already starting. Matt Caruana, that's the second time this lap that he's been off too much in towards the gravel, and Will Chadwick is going to be having a look for this race victory, his second of the season that it would be. But look who's coming in behind. Baldy, Jasir, even Lafaro is not too far behind as it stands. As we work our way in towards the Fog TSs, I'm sure it's just about a matter of time before Chadders goes down the inside. This might be the opportunity.
Yeah, there could be the moment. There could be the move. There we go. Looking to the outside at the moment. Will Chadwick sending it through. So Caruana with the inside line. Gogo Bowdy keeping Beckham just here at bay. Will Chadwick straight around as they're side by side in the run down into the final corner. Chadwick with the inside lines the way in. Matt Caruana's going to back out slightly. Gogo Bowdy's going to try and work his way through for the Ferrari team as they head their way through. Could be contact here between the likes of Gogo Bowdy and Matt Caruana, and that's switching a couple of things in the championship. It's giving Gogo Bowdy the potential chance to overtake Yoni in the Drivers' Championship as they head down into the first corner. There's a big send to the inside from Beckham Jasir. Definite contact though with Matt Caruana, and that's going to send Gogo Bowdy out wide.
This is a tough one to call how it is going to end. Moving all over the place from Lafaro in that 5th place, as well as we're seeing in the background. There's a couple of moves being made. So Murdoch lost a place to Brown and Carroll, who got through. So there's another place up there for the Ferrari driver. We work our way up the hill now through Schwantz. It is Chadwick now leading, but Caruana in behind is still in with a shout of this one. Baldy's been looking very calm all day, and I just wonder if he's got something up his sleeve in this second race.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, look, there's got to be more on the cards here. I agree with what you were saying earlier. This battle, it's not going to be clean to the checkered flag. Surely there's going to be a lot more to deal with when it comes to the run-in. I mean, look, we've got, my magic rule is 6 drivers within one train, and that's where it is. But more than that, and there's drama. We've got 12 here, as there is a big look to the inside. I think there's already been a bit of an incident behind with Remy Gilbert, Giuseppe Lafaro. Gogo Bowdy's been round though.
Yep, he's got damage on that car. Look at all the drivers go past. He's got to do 90 degrees to the left to go in a straight line. Watch out for your teammate, Gogo. There he is, down the inside. Leo Brown goes through as well. And also, is that Ronnie Smith coming through? Joseph Loke, he's going to have to get into the pit lane here. And that is a big, big shame. So he had to dive down the inside because Jasir also did a big move. Talking of Jasir, he might be losing another place now to the other Ferrari driver, Graham Carroll, who's going to get ahead up into 7th place.
Yeah, Gogo Bowdy then into the pit lane. So there's going to be a big switch in the team's championship, and it's going to go big advantage to Guild Esports here, as you're saying. With Leo Brown and Remy Gilbert's position, Graham Carroll then up to 7th in all of that, so he's actually pulling out even further in the Drivers' Championship. 38 points. It's nearly a race victory with 2 races left to go. Big slide on the inside from Beckham Jasir. It's going to cost him a few spots as Moreno Sharika is going to work his way past. And to be perfectly honest, I think the likes of Connor Muir and Henry Moore might also work their way through as well. Took me through this one.
So Jasir goes to the inside of Baldy, so Baldy kind of has to go to the inside of Caruana, but he was just too late on the brakes, and unfortunately the contact, it didn't look like the heaviest contact, but it was big because Jasir, I mean, he's done. Jasir's done. He's going way back in this battle. He's going to have to come back into the pit lane, but we go back to the front now, and it's just a two-way battle. Chadwick leads, Caruana second place, and they got Remy Gilbert from 11th place, who's got back on the podium as it stands.
They were the two we were looking at on the starting grid as the two real favourites for this race. I think Beck and Jasir is dropping back even further as he's having a couple of struggles. I think he'll be bringing that Williams car back into the pit lane at the end of this lap. But it really was Chadwick and Caruana that we were focused on in all this. But, I mean, for Remy Gilbert, what a drive. 11th at the moment to 3rd, 11 minutes left to go. Not even halfway through this race. We were chatting to him in the interview. I mean, I didn't expect him to work his way through this quick. That's incredible.
Now, this is also looking good, actually, for Henry Moore, who, to be honest, on the back of shot, as we come down the front straight there, he was not too far behind up into 13th place. He might be able to do something. But, yes, definitely some great battles for the Guild cars today. And I wonder, can Gilbert just find a way of getting up to these top two if they start battling? But it looks like Caruana's been quite smart as it stands. And his teammate, Ronnie Smith, though, just lost a place in the background with side-by-side Catala and Carroll around the outside into Coppice for Carroll up into 6th place. He's actually started to be quite aggressive after saying he was going to be maybe a bit submissive.
Yeah, but you know, he's still focused on the. Like I say, he's running his own race. That's the important bit. It's almost 3 wide behind as Joseph Lake was trying to chunk it around. Yanni Catala fends off Will Murdoch. Joseph Lake was staring at the back of all that, thinking about where he can rejoin in this fight. As Connor Muir behind all this has been caught by Henry Moore as well. There's a look on board with Joseph Lake. He's making an inside move to the inside of Will Murdoch, the BS competition driver, just working his way through at the moment. A little bit of a weave there as they head down into turn the final corner.
Yes, this is turning into a very interesting race, and the permutations of how quickly these things could sway around is just there as well. Because remember, it's the teams championship with Guild and Ferrari that we are looking at. We got Leo Brown and Carroll locked into each other. Got the other Guild driver of Gilbert up into 3rd place. Bowdy is now out of it, so Guild will be gaining good points as it stands.
Yeah, like I say, for Ferrari, because of the retirement for Gogo Bowdy, there's going to be a lot of ground lost. There's a look on board with the Mentor driver. It is Matt Caruana at the moment, behind Will Chadwick. Caruana looking for a 3rd victory of the season. Chadwick's had a couple, and he's had a couple removed. I think he's got one to his name at least. Obviously, one at Alton Park and had that one removed, and Ronnie Smith was able to take the victory courtesy of the penalty. But at the moment, like I say, running in the race lead with 9 minutes left to go.
And Gilbert is getting close. Caruana's kind of staying behind, but it's not working. They are going to be a 3-way battle very quickly indeed. Gilbert has dropped Lafaro, who is going to be under attack from the 33 of Leo Brown in the not too distant future. And with how long there is left in this race, Gilbert is going to be in with a shout. So Chadwick isn't fast enough really to pull away from these cars as Loke makes another move. There's Catala, squeezes him to left-hand side. Contact is made. Point, but how is that going to work out as all the cars drop? But they continue on as we come through the final corner. Here comes also, that's the BS competition of Will Murdoch.
Yeah, Murdoch's trying to work his way through in the 91, trying to get back past Joseph Loke, but Loke fends him off. They work their way down to the first corner. Big dive from Loke, committed on the brakes, almost contact between himself and Yanni Catala. It's going to be slow from Loke off the corner as Yanni Catala gives the slipstream to the Williams driver behind him. The BS competition driver behind him, rather. And then the Williams behind, even that, as they work their way down into that the old airpin once again. Is very, very close between them, but no major switches in all this group. That was a big send from Joseph Loke, as Matt Caruana, by the way, has got through on Will Chadwick.
He certainly has. He leads the way as we come into the final 7 minutes. There's Carroll having a look at Brown for 5th place as well. Interesting. I'm really intrigued to see him being so aggressive in this race. Sometimes the best way of defense is to push, and he's actually wiggling around there. Maybe that's saying, oh no, I'm not going to go for it. Let's just keep in this top 6 battle, because Catala, Loke, Murdoch, they're having a big one behind, and we'll be losing some time. But these guys are going at it with just 2.5 races to go in the season.
I mean, look, the thing is that Graham Carroll can not only see Leo Brown, can not only see Giuseppe Lafaro, but can see the top 3 ahead. This is how Caruana got past Will Chadwick then So out of the old hairpin, Chadwick a little bit slow as they were heading up towards the Schwantz curve. And then the inside line for McLean's is where Matt Caruana positioned his car. And the immense driven by us driver takes over the head of the field. 6 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. Still a handful of laps at the moment. Matt Caruana leads from Chadwick, from Gilbert, from Lafaro, from Brown, from Carroll, Loke, Sarika, then Smith, then Cattler. The top two in the championship. They're separated by a fair few positions in this one. 6th for Carroll, and then 13th at the moment only for Henry Moore. But he's doing a good job at closing up with Connor Muir.
Yes, that was an interesting final lap in this second or really third battle. So Logan up into P7, as you say, but Cattler dropped down 3 places down to P10. So he got pushed out of the way probably by Loke there. Sarika Smith got through. So really elbows out time. We've got 2 packs of 3 leading the way, then another pack of 5 in behind. 6 minutes remaining in this race. They are really going at it. So about 4 laps it is going to be remaining in this one. Lafaro, he's really doing a good job to keep up there in that 4th place as well. But what order are they going to finish in? Remy Gilbert is looking strong, potentially to get this win.
39 points between the top 2 at the moment in the championship. I think Graham Carroll, in his wildest dreams, would not have expected that to be the gap heading into the season finale of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. It's certainly not done yet as Johnny Cattler loses out a further position to Will Murdoch, who moves now up inside the top 10. We keep our eyes focused on the battle for the race lead. 5 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. Still a few laps. Remy Gilbert's in the hunt for the race victory. Certainly wasn't one I was picking as a chance for a race victory in this one, but still has put himself in the position. And we know he's got the move handy to try and fire one down the inside.
Also does Will Murdoch. He gets past Cattler up into the top 10. Cattler's going to come back at him actually though as he come downhill, squeezing each other to the curb on that right hand side. We come through the crater curves now, and is the BS competition driver going to be able to hold on? No, yes, maybe. Cattler just has to back out that one. I thought he was going to try and go side by side, but in the end has to do so. Actually loses a lot of momentum. Here comes Connor Muir in the 64 with a big run, loads of momentum up the hill, and should have the inside line to McLean. So realistically they're 2 places lost for Cattler.
Oh, seems some side-by-side in the foreground. I think Graham Carroll's trying to make his move on Leo Brown as well. Can't quite finish that one off, but he was definitely having a look there into Coppice, at least in the foreground of shot. So he was trying something here. He's our points leader at the moment to get past the Guild Esports driver of Leo Brown, who of course finished in 4th position on in the previous race and was promoted up to the podium courtesy of the penalty for it's Joseph Loke as well. My brain kind of faded on that one a little bit. I'm an old man, it's fine. Joseph Loke, of course, had the penalty, which promoted then Leo Brown up onto the podium as they head their way through the final corner. Matt Caruana, I mean, I wonder if Will Chadwick and Remy Gilbert are being a little patient as we saw in the previous race.
Yes, I believe they're trying to keep it a top 3. They don't want Lafaro and Brown, Carroll, all of them to catch up. They want to keep it a 3-way battle. So they know for now they just need to sit there. Also for Chadwick, if he goes for an overtake, it doesn't work. Brown is coming through. He's so close behind. He'll just get the run. He'll get the up and under out of a corner. So he needs to be careful to not lose out in that regard as well. So he's in a bit of a tricky situation. He just doesn't want to replicate what Gilbert did in the previous race, which was leave it too late and then have to do one absolutely ridiculous send into the final corner. So it's a difficult balancing act that you have to do around here and finding your time. And we definitely have to see if that one is going to work. Connor Muir, though, and Will Murdoch, oh no, Muir's gone off. So is Murdoch. So Henry Moore gets through. Cattler goes through, even Espes as well. So there's obviously been some contact there as Will Murdoch goes down to P13.
Henry Moore's gained 3 positions. It's just 2 positions of that with, of course, with Murdoch and Muir. So Henry Moore's gained a couple from all that and is now right in the rear end of Johnny Cattler as well. So could we see Henry Moore moving his way inside the top 10? It'd be very important. This is what happened. There is Muir, there is Murdoch. Oh, sorry, there is Connor Muir, and you saw obviously Will Murdoch there on the outside. Connor Parent just sent them straight off the road there at McLean's.
Yeah, Muir looked like he was on the apex, so maybe just a little bit of a pinch. Unfortunately on that outside, and gets contact on the rear left, goes for a spin, manages to continue on in this race though in P15 as it stands. 2 and a bit minutes remaining in this race, and I'm sure the order is going to change. Who wants to be the first one to make one of these final overtaking opportunities? As it stands, we are seeing a potential for a big point swing. I'm actually closing down quite a lot because Henry Moore is in P10, Graham Carroll only P6, just 4 points, 4 places in between them.
Yeah, so like I say, it's getting closer to the championship now. 33 points separates the top 2 in the championship with 2 races left to go. Teams-wise, though, it'll be a big advantage for Guild Esports in the team's championship with Remy Gilbert's position. And there comes a look to the inside. Pablo Espes making the move, trying to get past Yoni Katala. And look at Will Murdoch. He's going to be staring at the back of this. Was almost thinking about making it 3 wide, I think, as we head down into Coppers. Send it to the inside, though, of Yoni Katala. He could be losing out a couple of positions in a couple of corners here. He's got dropped behind Pablo Espes now, the Williams Esports Academy driver, but Katla fends off Murdoch and hangs on to 12.
Yes, absolutely. This is turning into something quite special, this race. We're also coming up to, this will be the final lap that they're about to start. And Will Chadwick is basically pushing the immense car of Matt Caruana. As you come out of the final corner, a bit wide, Chadwick is going to try and have a dive, but 1 minute to go, 1 lap to go, and Caruana leads at the white flag.
Yeah, one last lap then around Donington Park. There was almost a little bit of a look from Will Chadwick heading down into the first corner. Remy Gilbert sat behind all this, waiting for his right opportunity. He had a big send in the previous race. At the moment, he's gaining the bonus point as well for the fastest lap. Giuseppe Lafaro, 2 seconds off the rear end of this. It really is a 3-horse fight for the race lead between Caruana, between Chadwick and Gilbert.
And that was a good old hairpin there by Chadwick. He has got the momentum up the hill. Is it going to be enough to get in towards McLean's on that inside line? No, he chooses to stay to the left. Bit of a wiggle on that rear end. The car definitely getting unsettled at this point, and Gilbert just sits in behind waiting for his opportunity too.
I mean, where is that opportunity? Like I say, you've really now got the 2 hairpins to end the lap. We've seen that attempt from Remy Gilbert in the previous race, and it didn't end super well. So where's his opportunity going to come? Is he going to throw anything? Is Remy Gilbert going to even try? Is he going to sit there in 3rd position as Graham Carroll did in the previous race?
Oh, that was a bad run through for Caruana through the Fog TS's down in towards the Melbourne hairpin to the complete outside line. Chadwick is going to go. He's going to have to go all the way around the outside. It might work, but we saw what happened when we were in this position last race.
Yeah, indeed. And with all that, Graham Carroll's come through into 4th, so he's picked off Lafaro and Leo Brown as well. Side by side for the race lead. Will Chadwick sends it to the inside of the final corner. Out wide goes Matt Caruana. A drag race between the pair of them across the line. They're going to be separated by hundreds of a second. Will Chadwick, bit of a clap of the hands. He knows he's been bested in this race as Matt Caruana, for the 3rd time in 2024, heads to the top step of the podium. Remy Gilbert behind, but only 2/10 off the race lead. And Graham Carroll, importantly for the points of the championship, takes 4th position, gaining both Leo Brown and Lafaro heading into that final sector.
Oh my word, yes, we didn't quite get eyes of that, of course, battling for the race lead, but Graham Carroll 2 places on that final lap. Those are some important points, as what a day has been from him to gain on Henry Moore, who ends up in P10 in the end. That's a good drive from him, but Graham Carroll as well, he was aggressive when he needed to in this race, and he will go into the final round of Brands Hatch with a huge advantage for the 77-2 Cup.
Cracking recovery for Henry Moore, to be perfectly honest, to recover the top 10 from what has been a very, very difficult day for him. There is the provisional results from race 14 of the season. Matt Caruana taking victory for the 3rd time. Will Chadwick in 2nd place. And Remy Gilbert onto the podium for the 2nd consecutive race here at Donington Park. So that was always very impressive. Graham Carroll had a victory earlier on in the day, just 4th position for him. I'm sure he'll be very, very happy with that. Still, we'll probably catch up with him at Brands Hatch, the championship leader now, after an epic round for him here at Donington Park. Leo Brown in 5th position, Giuseppe Lafaro in 6th, Joseph Loke in 7th, Moreno Sharika, Ronnie Smith and Henry Moore rounding out the top 10 positions. Those below that, Pablo Espes in 11th, Yoni Katala finishing 10 seconds off of the race lead, down in 12th position with Connor Muir. Qualified well, unfortunately the racing wasn't quite there for him today. Petr Stechulek will be in 14th position with Isaac Pride in this race, at least, 15th position. Joel Holt, Olivia Hayward, Will Murdoch, Elias Riker, Certis Fitzpatrick down in 20th position after starting from the reverse grid pole, which is a big shame there. They've been very quick in this race, to be perfectly honest, but in their previous race in the last couple of rounds, but it is what it is. Gogo Bowdy retiring from the race. We'll talk about what that implicates, the implications of that really in a moment's time. Beckham Jasir, 22nd position, retired from the race. Simon Kulik and Samueli Villa, all retirements from this race. But there has been big drama this round of the championship. Someone who's basically out of the championship hunt, but still having some big races. Matt Caruana taking the victory, doing it late there as well. Matt, what an epic drive. 3rd victory of the season. I mean, that was awesome. Big drag race between you and Will Chadwick up towards the line, and you come out just about on top. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's good to finally get a win again after not getting one for a while. Obviously, was away, and then just had a run of bad luck, to be honest. But yeah, the reverse grid was a good bit of luck finally, and then yeah, managed to just keep it in the race.
I mean, look, it's a difficult race sometimes around here at Donington Park, especially when you have to start race one from the back of the field. But still, you worked your way through nicely, got yourself in position. We were eyeing you up as maybe one of the favourites for that race. Did you kind of feel that pressure when you were starting from third position, that maybe you were one of the favourites for this race? That this is kind of like a really a win it or bin it kind of moment.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I had, all the people from the front of the race one behind me, obviously. So yeah, I knew I could, if I could get into the lead, then I'd have a good chance, to be honest. And that's what I managed to do. In the first corner, they both went a little bit deep. So yeah, I managed to get into the lead and held it.
One final round then left to go of 2024. What are your goals going into Brands Hatch? Take the double? Just take the sweep, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would be ideal. It would be a good way to end the season. Obviously, now that I'm not really in the championship fight. So yeah, I mean, just maximise points. Hopefully, can get another win.
Matt, congratulations on your third victory of the season. Fantastic to hear from you once again, and best of luck in Brands Hatch in a week.
Thank you, appreciate it.
There we go. Matt Caruana onto the top step of the podium. Let's talk to the driver who was just able to beat him by 0.04 of a second, tight margin. Saw a little clap of the hand across the line as well. I mean, just bested, but by a tiny margin. Still got to feel pretty positive after that race. Second place and a great battle.
Yeah. Racing Matt's always good, and yeah, it was a good battle. I think looking at the replay, just got a little bit unlucky with a tiny bit of netcode contact on the exit, but takes nothing away from Matt. He drove a great race, and he definitely had more pace than me. But in general, I think we drove a good race and we got the maximum out of it, and yeah, I can be happy with that one.
I mean, it's always fun when you get to battle with the likes of Matt Caruana. Obviously, Remy Gilbert working his way up into all of that a bit shockingly. I mean, did you kind of look at how the race battle ended in race one to maybe see if that was going to adjust your opinions to what you were going to do in your own race, or were you kind of just focused on ignoring all that and just doing what feels right for you?
Well, no, I didn't really take into account anything that happened in race one. I just gave it a good go. Kind of knew what I could and couldn't do. I knew I wanted to leave it to the GP loop section of those two hairpins, and yeah, it was 50-50. I had the inside, and I just didn't quite get the run off the corner. So that's how Matt won it. But yeah, no, I didn't take any look at the previous race.
You're sixth in the championship at the moment. You're just ahead of Joseph Loke. Are you focused on like the drivers' championship at all, or are you kind of just like, I'm just here for a bit of banter, a bit of racing fun?
We've just had a bit of an up and down season, really. Things haven't necessarily gone our way, but that's okay. That happens in racing, and yeah, just trying to get a few more results under the belt. I'm hoping for a completely soaked Brands Hatch. Both races, torrential rain, red flag conditions, and then we might have a bit of fun.
I'll see what I can do. All right. Cheers, Chadders. Fantastic.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
There we go. Will Chadwick then onto the podium once more. And let's chat to someone who we already spoke to today. It's Remy Gilbert once again for the second time today after what was a very impressive drive to go from 11th up to 3rd, all like basically involved in the battle for the race lead before even the halfway point in that race. You didn't get yourself too involved this time. No big moves down the inside of the final corner, just securing the points. You're the team's championship leader now. You've taken it from the Scuderia Ferrari HP Esports team. Like, it's been a really positive round for you, right?
Yeah. I think that second race was pretty good. Sort of just managed to work my way through the field. And then, yeah, got up to 3rd. And then from there, I just didn't really want to take too many risks. I knew 3rd was good position, good points. And, I was ahead of both Ferraris. So I didn't see the need to risk anything.
Obviously, second in the first race, Leo was up there in 3rd position. This race, you've worked your way through to 3rd position. Leo's also worked his way through into the top 5. So it's been a really, really positive point score for Guild. You're almost back at that form that you had at Brands Indy that we've kind of, seen flashes of. Have you kind of, has something clicked for this round, or is it just like the nature of the track just works for you guys?
I'm not sure really, but I think towards the start, around Zandvoort and Snetterton, just a few mistakes and a little bit of a lack of pace. But, we've sort of regained that. Obviously got the win at Knockhill and then shown some pretty good pace around here as well. So, hopefully we can carry it into the final round at Brands and, see what we do.
Well, Remy, great drives this evening. A double podium for you. Excellent stuff for Guild. And again, Guild Esports are the team's championship leaders heading into one final round. 2 races left to go. We'll talk to you at Brands Hatch.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Remy Gilbert onto the podium. Cam, what a thrilling round here, of course, at Donington Park. Incredible stuff. Fantastic scenes. I mean, sum it up for me. That was mega, and it's blown both championships wide open.
Yeah, you can't write it sometimes. Just when Henry Moore needed just a solid round, he had a 22-point advantage coming into it. If he kept roughly that coming into Brands Hatch, he'd be looking pretty good for it. But instead, he had that collision, ironically, with Carroll's teammate, although I don't think that was anything to do with it as such. The stewards' room is going to be busy after this race, but that's not going to take away from the fact that Henry Moore lost those points in a crucial round, because now the momentum doesn't matter about the points on the cards. It's also the momentum for Henry has been stunted, and he's going to have to try and pick up something next week.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the points popping up on your screen all the time about the British F4 Esports Championship and how close that is. Very, very exciting heading into the season finale. Of course, the Formula Fords also will have their season finale, a tight fight between Mark Fletcher and Shomi Shintani. I can tell you now, it's actually a 35-point lead for Mark Fletcher in the Formula Fords. I did say I would update you at the end of the broadcast. Yeah, a 35-point lead. Mark Fletcher on 372, Shomi Shintani on 337, but there's drop scores to take into account. So it's all very complicated. We're not going to get into it too much. But here in the British F4 Esports, it's going to be incredibly close. It's going to be a fantastic battle. Henry Moore versus Graham Carroll in the Drivers' Championship. Guild Esports versus the Scuderia Ferrari HP Esports team in the Teams Championship. And it will be live here, same place, same time, in 1 week's time to round out the 2024 season of the British F4 Esports Championship. Remember last season, it was rounded out by 0 points in the Drivers' Championship. An epic fight between Luke McEwen and, of course, Gordy Much. What are we going to get in 2024? You'll have to wait and see. Join myself, Lewis McGlade, join Cameron Roger, and Hugo Luis has been bringing us all the broadcast here for the British F4 Esports Championship. We'll see you in 1 week's time for the final round of the British F4 Esports Championship.